What is up, everyone? Welcome. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to the Yissilmissil Productions channel. My name is Steven Yissil, and today, let's talk about it. Hope you're all doing well on this fine Sunday morning. We have a few things to go over. I hope you're all doing well, as I said. So we have one video to look at today, and it's only an hour. So hopefully we will get through that fairly quickly. Good to have y'all here. We are streaming on 4 platforms today. We are on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. So please go and follow those channels and like and subscribe. It'll really help everything out here. And soon, all those channels will be accessible with every video in their playlists on my main website, Yissilmissilproductions.com, or just simply Yissilmissil.com. So I've been working very hard on getting that running, and I have about 30 uploads to go across 3 different platforms before we're all caught up here. So just taking time. There's only so much time in the day, and really it's taking time. So, I appreciate y'all bearing with me here. So we have a video from the 18th that we're going to watch. And you know, this series is starting to turn into an archival process. Now, I've always been archival with this channel and everything about it, especially putting things on Odyssey. And it's going to be a permanent staple putting this stuff on the blockchain. Because if any of these websites go down in the future, at least I'll have everything on the blockchain. And going forward with Let's Talk About It, I want to start digging into some older interviews to cross-reference what the hell Tom is even talking about with some of this stuff. And I know I have some new viewers here that are just finding out about Tom Althouse now. I highly recommend you watch this series, because it will explain a lot to you about what's been going on with him. But what we have today is a show from August 18th, which surprisingly was a day after last week's Let's Talk About It, episode 14. Today's episode 15. Just a second here. Brenda, you can see I have YouTube logo, Rumble logo, BitChute, and Odyssey. These four that are below my webcam right now are also in the description of this video and every other video on my channel. So seek it out if you haven't yet. And I just know there's certain people that use only those platforms. So that's mostly for them. But if you want to make accounts over there, by all means, go ahead. But they are in the video description. I have all of my links to all of my social medias down there. So just be sure to double check that. So, this is Penny L.A. Shepherd's channel. It has 59,000 subscribers. It got 4.8 thousand views, but only 2 comments. So you really have to wonder what Rumble's doing. Now, we've covered on this series before who Penny L.A. Shepherd is, and she is not a good person. She tried to poison Beyond the Box's Brenda. Actually, she successfully poisoned her. Brenda ended up in the hospital due to it. But she's an open agent for these secret agencies. She brags about it. And she has other people that work for her that's also been following Susie. Ended up having another person living on her ranch, surprisingly. So, trying to weed these fuckers out. But anyways, we're gonna just jump right into this, alright? It's an hour and 9 minutes. As always, I'm gonna put the speed up to 1.5 so we can get through this a little bit faster. And we'll pause to commentate. But here we go. That intro's already too damn long. Yeah, it would help if you guys could hear it, right? Give me a moment here. All right.
Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist begins now.
And welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny Lee Shepard, and
Y'all can hear that, right?
Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist begins now.
And welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny Lee Shepard, and I am Agent X11. I am joined today by my co-host, Joan Renee and Jessica Garza, and our star, who is also our co-host, Thomas, but not today, Thomas Althouse. And so good to see all of you. Joan Renee, how are you?
Is it Monday?
I think so. Yeah. I'm not sure. I only had 2 hours sleep. It could be Sunday.
I'm good.
Okay. Jessica Garza, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to Tom. I'm so annoyed with Elon Musk right now.
I know. And Tom, you just made a journey around the sun. How are things on your side of the sun?
Amazing. It's like people having visions and dreams, and it's like people are contacting me from across the planet, and it's like now's the time. Mm-hmm. So just did a show with, of course, Jake and Brad.
How many times has he said this? Now's the time. For as long as I had interviewed him to now, which started over 3 years ago now, he's always been talking about being on the cusp, that this is the moment. How long is this moment?
Sun, how are things on your side of the sun?
Amazing. It's like people having visions and dreams, and it's like people are contacting me from across the planet, and it's like now's the time. Mm-hmm. So just did a show with, of course, Jake and Brad, Roseanne's son, and I just got a call from Czech Republic today also.
Yeah, a call from the Czech Republic?
And England, and apparently, get this, apparently a show was shown 2 hours long, which I'm not trying to toot a horn, it's just glory to God.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Out, and like you said about Elon Musk coming down, it's like we're claiming back the tech. Well, a 2-hour program was apparently aired in the Czech Republic. A woman had hosted this thing or something, and they said the Czech Republic went crazy. Like they said, they're fascinated by your story. They are all excited to have me out, so they're going to have me come out in November.
You're going to the Czech Republic in November?
Yeah. They said like they get it better than the United States, that this is, the story was taken, that this Neuralink was in there, that the whole Matrix story was ours, and finally a world's starting to come together and go like, yes, let's work off of what God gave through that work and restore it. And that's my goal, is to get the message back in for people. I was supposed to be a messenger in it that gives the message and also caps the tech down so it doesn't do harm. It's good. So finally we're entering that time, and God bless the Slavic people.
Wow.
What can you believe from this guy anymore? Beyond the Box says, I feel we have lurkers. Oh, absolutely we do. And everyone on all 4 platforms, welcome. You're in for a treat today. So to give you a background, I interviewed Tom Althouse for 2.5 years, over 22 interviews. And after I told him about this lady above him on the top left, that she's handling him, he decided to cut ties with me. Plain and simple. He wouldn't outright say that to me, by the way. But since then, he's been on Roseanne twice. Actually, he was on Roseanne a month or 2 before he cut ties with me, so I have the largest footprint on the internet for Tom Althouse, and I have not removed any of my content. That being said, the intention is for everyone to then find this Let's Talk About It series. And I continue to put out shorts and reels across various platforms so that people can find that. Now, there's also people finding my older stuff and subscribing to my channel and then finding Let's Talk and unsubscribing. You following me? People that want to believe Tom and then they see that I'm calling him a liar and then they want to dip out. Bye. I don't have time to grovel and try to over-explain myself here. This dude is a grifter, and we are here calling out all of his inaccuracies. Now, the wildest thing that he newly has come up with is this break-in without a break-in, where he says that CIA agents broke into his house, left no evidence of a break-in, but left his older scripts on his bed. Are you fucking kidding me? Tom would make you believe no. It's super serious. It's exactly how he says it went down, right? I'm not buying it for a second. If this dude is as targeted as he is, he would have security cameras up in his house to show proof of all of this happening. Also, he claims that the government killed two of his 3 sons. And he claims that the third son has not been taken out because he claims to have 17 other scripts buried without any bindings. It can't be detected by a metal detector. It's in some hole in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. Okay? Instead of him actually producing the work, instead he's using it as a ransom so that, his third son doesn't get unalived. Again, we've gone over this before. It does seem like Tom was estranged from his other 2 sons before they met their untimely demises. And it does seem like they were freak accidents. Now, you couple that with Tom's condition of whatever you want to call it. It's a hodgepodge of schizophrenia, paranoia, sociopathy, and a few other things. But, he's an egotist and a narcissist. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can go follow another channel that doesn't really question Tom. But here we question Tom. And he did us dirty over here. And we're letting everyone know. I don't have to brag about other people across the world that are watching this. I obviously am reaching a larger audience than Tom is at this point, besides the fact he's on these tens of thousands Rumble channels, YouTube channels. Like, these channels have tens of thousands of followers, so he's still duping a lot of people. But you go and Google Tom Althouse interview and my interviews pop up. So my intention with all of this, again, is for Let's Talk About It to be what people find after they find the initial interviews. Because there's been so many different hosts that have been unplugged from Tom on Tom's volition. Where Tom does 1, 2, 3 interviews, sometimes it's 10. With me, it was 22 interviews. At some point, he just cuts the cord because he can't handle the questions anymore. He can't handle the pressure. That's why he was bragging about the Jake podcast that he was on being 2 hours long. 2 hours is a long time for Tom to talk about bullshit because his lies start to become unraveled. Okay? So let's continue on with this.
Wow, that is a miracle. You definitely are one of the more fascinating people I've ever met in my entire life. You know,
I'll tell you, I never felt like I belonged on this planet. I never felt like I belonged here as a child. I'm like, why am I here? I don't feel like I fit in. I even felt like the gravity was too heavy, like they do now in these shows. I felt like it's too oppressive. It's like, this doesn't feel like my world. But be it as it may, I will do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm glad to do it with great people like yourselves.
we're just honored to know you and be associated with you. I'm going to play your intro for people who don't know who you are. And this is who Tom Althouse actually is.
Good day from Agent X11, Hollywood dark journalist. Another.
Just treat this as all disinfo. Okay? We're watching this to dissect. So she says that it really truly describes Tom Althouse. No, it describes the projection that Tom is putting out there about himself. It's not actually who he is. It's not the guy that talks to himself while he's washing dishes and cleaning countertops, okay? Because if people knew who the real Tom Althouse is, they'll say, something's fucking off with this guy. And he has a fundraiser now. He's asking for $3,700, $3,750 per month. He wants to fundraise. He wants the public to just give him his paycheck.
Light in this darkened world. Today's guest is Tom Althouse, the real author of The Matrix, award-winning playwright, screenwriter, actor, groomed by Pat Robertson, who promised to destroy his life. He is whistleblowing on the FBI, CIA, Disney, Warner, and high-level cabal.
Again, we've been through this before. He is not the real author of The Matrix. The Wachowskis are. Okay? And he says groomed by Pat Robertson, but he never goes into detail of how he was groomed. He says he's whistleblowing on the FBI, CIA, Disney, Warner, and high-level cabal, but he doesn't say that the cabal are JEWS. And he yucks it up with Roseanne on her podcast, and they both spitball back and forth about being Jewish. Okay? So all of that right there should tell you, if this guy was really a threat to any of the people listed on this screenshot, then he wouldn't be allowed to be on any of these platforms. They would all be shut down immediately. Okay?
In the world of cinema, there are moments of brilliance that define a film. But what happens when those moments are stolen? This is the story of The Immortals, a script penned by the visionary Tom Althouse, only to be taken by Warner Brothers Studios and claimed by the Wachowskis as their own creation. The choice between reality and illusion, a theme that resonates throughout The Immortals, now lost in the shadows of deception. Every detail meticulously crafted by Althouse, now manipulated and distorted by those who sought to claim his genius as their own. The heart of the narrative, the epicenter of conflict, all tainted by the greed of those who sought to erase the true author's legacy. As the timelines merge and the truth comes to light, The Immortals stand as a testament to the resilience of creativity against the forces of deceit. Join us as we unravel the mystery behind The Immortals, a tale of betrayal, redemption, and the enduring power of storytelling.
Sounds good, Jason. I won't be doing a longer stream today. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. We got an hour or so video to watch, and then I'm going to call it. But, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you telling me you'll watch the replay.
The face of adversity.
Tom Althouse, an American screenwriter and award-winning performer, was born on July 2nd, 1959 in Abington, Pennsylvania, to Captain John Althouse and Patricia Althouse. His birthday holds significance in the film franchise, where it was incorporated as a role in the film. Several key elements...
Now, there was something that he mentioned while he was doing my interviews. That the birthday was wrong. He has the real birthday now. So July 2nd of 69. He said that his birthday is different now. Like, there's two birthdays floating around that he likes to use. One, because it matches up with the Matrix stuff, and then his real birthday. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
of Tom's personal bio, such as his entries as an author, were inserted into the film as a rap sheet, where the original author's personal bio was stolen. The original script presented Tom Althouse with the rap sheet, erasing the true author's legacy and giving his personal identity to the main character that he created. In addition to the original script being plagiarized, the studios and movie moguls utilized the material to benefit Joel Silver, an executive producer who co-owns the Matrix franchise with Lily and Lana Wachowskis and Keanu Reeves.
Now the question is, how come Joel Silver and the Wachowski brothers, how come they haven't pursued his ass? We mentioned before, we know that in 2000 he went after Warner Brothers, not for The Matrix, but for Demolition Man. He lost that case. He then went back to court in 2010 against Warner Brothers for The Matrix. Again, lost that case. 2014 rolls around, and around that time is when I believe Warner Brothers countersued Tom for lying. Okay? And there's 2 depositions. One is up on his website with a female interrogator. But a second one he gave to me where Sohal, this guy was interrogating him in a deposition. And Tom walks out of Sohal's deposition. He straight up walks out of it. So he compromised his own case. He has no intention of going back to court, no matter how many times he says he's going to. He won't. And he needs a retainer fee to start another lawsuit. So he needs about $4,000 to do this, if he were to go back. He's begging the public for $3,750 a month. He wants the public to pay for his house, and all his utilities, and all of his food, and all his little trinkets that he'll buy for Christmas that has Warner Brothers copywritten red pill, blue pills on the image. So, like, he has ornaments and cups that he'll be selling during Christmas time. The blue pill's a real pill. And you wonder why he's swapped those around. He has not given the public a full read-through of the Immortals. So all of these claims that he's making means absolutely nothing without proper comparisons. And so on he will go. He will ride this into the grave, saying that he was the real writer of The Matrix. Don't listen to that bullshit. Don't listen to it. He is grifting everyone. He invited me to go film his documentary at his house in Texas. I live in Illinois. I flew out to Texas with all my film equipment. And when I arrived, he said he changed his mind. He wanted to write a book. I stayed there for 2.5 weeks. It was interesting to say the least. And by the time I was leaving, he wanted 4 books written. He did a second interview on John B. Wells' show, Caravan to Midnight, because of me. He did a third interview with John B. Wells on his podcast because of me, while I was there with him. So March and April of 2024 are the 2 times that he went on John B. Wells. And John B. Wells has open lines Fridays, where anybody can call in and talk to John. And I'm telling this right now, I know there's a few other people silent watching here, but I plan to call into John B. Wells and tell them what happened here. And it's not going to look good for Tom. You don't double-cross people, Tom. Especially people trying to help you. You show your true colors when the pressure gets hard.
The entirety of the original script was incorporated into their projects. The elements that were not used were included in projects that were divided out to other studios. Included were shorts like The Animatrix, which is 2003 American-Japanese adult animated science fiction anthology film produced by the Wachowskis. During filming on the set of the Matrix franchise, among the scraps of the original work that were left over and unused, some elements were placed in the Man in the High Castle series on Amazon. These elements were also duplicated in shows like Game of Thrones by Home Box Office, Walking Dead, and Minority Report, among others. The biggest box office smash that incorporated elements from the original work was a movie called Avatar. They manipulated the court system by using their own defense attorney, who was a classmate of their lead attorney with a suspended license to practice law. The goal was to solicit the author as their client to run out the statute of limitations on his claim. They had
What was that?
in shows like Game of Thrones by Home Box Office, Walking Dead, and Minority Report, among others. The biggest box office smash that incorporated elements from the original work was a movie called Avatar. They manipulated the court system by using their own defense attorney, who was a classmate of their lead attorney with a suspended license to practice law.
So is he claiming Avatar 2 here? Sure sounds like it. All Tom does is watch Game of Thrones on Netflix. That's the majority of the time. When I was there for 2.5 weeks, he spent it upstairs by himself watching Netflix. So instead of working and being productive with me, he just stayed upstairs all day and sat his ass in front of the TV.
The biggest box office smash that incorporated elements from the original work was a movie called Avatar. They manipulated the court system by using their own defense attorney, who was a classmate of their lead attorney, and Minority Report, among others. The biggest box office smash that incorporated elements from the original work was a movie called Avatar. They manipulated the court system by using their own defense attorney, who was a classmate of their lead attorney with a suspended license to practice law. The goal was to solicit the author as their client to run out the statute of limitations on his claim. They had access to all his...
Tom didn't realize that the Wachowskis' trilogy of The Matrix and all of these other properties, he didn't realize any of this stole his work until the end of 2009. Keep that in mind. He went to the movie theater in 1999 to watch The Matrix. It's on audio. He confesses to doing that. And that he couldn't even sit through the entire film. Because it was making him sick, right? The violence was making him sick. So it had nothing to do with him seeing his own work up on the big screen. It was because he had a queasy stomach to violence. But then he goes on in the deposition saying that Gladiator is one of his favorite films, which is nothing but blood and guts, and then also Avatar, which is destroying the tree of life and killing a whole ecosystem of people. He thinks those two films are inspirational. But he never says about how Avatar was also something that he claims. In that deposition in 2014, he never claims Avatar. He claims Demolition Man, which you'll never hear in these 2025 interviews. You'll only hear about that here. With everything with the deposition audio that Tom gave me last year that he doesn't have up on his website because it does incriminate him. He walked out of his own deposition. He was in the middle of gaining his rights back, but he wanted to settle out of court for $90,000 to make up his court costs. And then he wanted to move on. Well, 11 years later, he's still bitching about this shit. Texas Learning, welcome. We are watching a show from last Monday. It was the day after this show last week. It's on Penny L.A. Shepherd's channel. David Zublick's channel. But it's Penny L.A. Shepherd's show. Oh, Lerny, they've been buddies. You see, I told Tom that Penny is a handler. And that's when he decided to cut ties with me. He got very distant. And then eventually in October of last year is when he finally wanted to end everything. And he got cold feet moments before joining a live with Susie, Brenda, and myself, a private live for us to go and talk about all of this. No, he didn't want to do it last minute. Penny called him up and Penny gave him the call. Okay? And then the rest is history.
Evidence and copyrighted materials, blocked all interviews, ensured no evidence was entered, and provided all evidence to the Warner Brothers, including original drafts to understand the work. Their intention was to block evidence and supply their own attorney to ensure the case was dismissed. They simply wanted to give the studio everything they wanted to be done with the...
I don't think he had money to supply his own attorney. So he was assigned an attorney in Hawaii, because that's where he was living at the time. And that person ended up, who was that again? I don't even fucking know. There's too many names now. But all he does is talk trash about these people. He didn't have the money to go and get his own attorney to secure his evidence. And, like I said, he walked out of his own deposition, so he fucked himself.
Original screenwriter, while the attorney held him under a legal contract that he does not want revealed.
As soon as the case was dismissed, they immediately announced and released their different takes on the work. This led to Warner Brothers announcing Elysian, followed by the Wachowski brothers announcing Sense 8 Inches, and also following Joe Silver announcing Oblivion. Star actors such as Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Will Smith were not shown scripts when they were approached to play the lead roles in the projects derived from the manipulated and appropriated work. This behind-the-scenes manipulation and appropriation of Tom Althouse's work sheds light on the unethical practices prevalent in the entertainment industry.
And now, Agent X11, Hollywood Dark journalist, is proud to present Tom Althouse.
Yeah.
I was recording it. I need to get that. I really want to share this for other people to see.
Okay, well, you could share the link.
Jessica just asked for that intro, and Penny's like, no, bitch, you're just going to share the show.
Is there a link to it? Like,
Yes, when we
I
get
guess-
done.
I have a recording too. I can send you, Jessica, so I can
Okay,
send you.
awesome.
I will send you the link after we get done recording.
Perfect.
The naivete of these people. They have no clue the grift that Tom Althouse is running on them.
That's usually what we can do. By the way, just for our audience, we are recording live right now on the David Zublik channel on Rumble. So if you would like a copy of this, you go to the David Zublik channel on Rumble, and you can copy the link and then share it everywhere. It's important.
Yeah. So there's been some things that have been developing now where evidence is now being compilated.
Compilated. See, he can't even talk right anymore. You know, let's go to X. Let's see how this posted. So he has 6,884 followers. Only 5 likes, 2 reshares. He doesn't even have the show that we're watching published right now. His show with Jake, Roseanne's son, 6 likes, 1 reshare. Here it is. So the show we're watching right now, 4 likes, 1 reshare, 1 comment. Comments from Penny herself. They do not have traction. Do you understand this? Here we go. August 15th. 2 likes, 1 reshare. 232 views. Probably most of them are bots. He found this Lady Annihilate person, reposted her tweet. 2 likes, 1 repost. He posts about Sarah Westall. 1 like. And then I guess she put something together for Tom's website. 7 likes, 5 reshares. Here is, I believe, that Jen individual that put together his website. Which again is very sparse, still. Back at 19 likes, 5 reshares. The numbers just suck. And he's not even verified because he's all offended by Elon Musk. So he'll use the platform, but he won't pay to get more reach because he has nothing. He has no finances coming in. That's why he's begging the public for $3,750 a month. It's to pay for his mortgage. Whatever his mom doesn't cover, right?
Or brought together, compilated, great words.
That's a word.
And I'm not lying about that. His mom finances most of his shit. And he's nearly 60. Right? 69. So he's 56. I've been saying he's around 60. You'll start seeing him hit the wall very soon, unfortunately. Like, I'm not looking forward to this stuff, but he's all about appearances, and we already have this theory going that he's dyeing his hair, because that's not a natural color. His hair's always wet when he's on these shows. His hair was really, like, moppy. One of the interviews that he was on with me on my channel here. Just very unkempt sometimes. And I guess enough people told him to stop wearing a tie, so he listened to them, right? Because he can't just do anything on his own.
It's a good word. I like it.
Yeah,
We need to use it. Compilated.
Fine words. Anyway, so yeah.
And she even mentions about his misspeak of compilation. He says compilated. He's just making up fucking words now. Because He's nervous. He's losing track of the lies that he's telling everyone. And he relies on others to keep him on track with topics.
Where certain key evidence is now coming to the surface that allow us to go forward in the strongest way. It was never allowed to come together for 33 years because it had to be at the right timing. Now's
Oh yeah, so by the way, that Jen lady, Tom met her, what was it called? The nerd? Yeah, Tom met this chick while I was there at his house last year. Over the phone, mind you. But, you know, instead of working on his book project he wanted me to go push forward and everything, instead he's upstairs talking to this bitch. And telling her about, oh, finally someone who really understands the same shit he's been telling all these other hosts that he doesn't work with anymore. And she got really offended by me replying to one of her. So she like puts out all these question tweets. This was when I was still in collaboration with Tom. She said something that was very misandristic, meaning hatred of men. So I went on there and I corrected her, and she didn't like it for 1 fucking second, and she called up Tom about it and shit. That was a fucking train wreck. Fucking hilarious. All right, let's continue.
right timing.
Yes.
So, and things that are just absolutely mind-boggling blow away, including we talked about the
Again, the theme here for Tom, I mean, besides Jake, which is Roseanne's son, you have Tom here with a panel of women because he knows that they're easy to manipulate. I'm sorry to say. He has his handler up here, Penny, who's manipulating him. But then you have Joan, who's along for the ride, and Jessica, who has no fucking clue who Tom Althouse is and what he's done to all of his hosts, including me. So it's just something to keep in mind here. Tom loves to talk to panels of women because they'll listen to him. They won't question him. They'll eat up the slop that Tom is putting out there because he sounds convincing, right? That's part of the grifter's playbook, is to sound convincing.
reinsertion of the original drafts, which is just, I don't know how the agencies got them away from Warner Brothers' tight grip, because they weren't going to let those go. So I don't know what that sounded like when they took them out of their vaults or their safes or their office.
Yeah, Lerny, this is the Penny that tried to off Brenda while Penny was living on Susie's ranch pretty much for free. Even though Penny was getting thousands of dollars from New York and California, Susie only found that out after Penny left all of her trash all over Susie's house when she left. And in those trash bags were bank statements showing how much she was actually making. She told Susie, whose property she was living on, she was only making $200 to $400 a month. Even though she was putting out posts on Twitter for donations for dog food, Susie never saw that money. All right.
That's just been like a break-in scene that was like in the Morals itself, where you have the agents come in and they demand all the files. It seems like it actually happened, where they went in and demanded the files because they're not going to let those go. They're not going to let this go. So here we have those. But also what's interesting is this has shown up. This whole stack in front of me right here is what the attorney who was supplied by Warner Brothers worked on to make sure our case was thrown. Now I want to make sure this is set in cement here.
No. So here's another lie Tom is saying. Attorney supplied by Warner Brothers to Tom. Why would Tom even accept that? Why would he accept that? It's because the attorney was supplied through the state. If you cannot afford an attorney, you will be supplied one. Well, that's exactly what happened here with Tom. He got what he set himself up for. He was not prepared going into his lawsuit. And because he's so scatterbrained, that attorney couldn't even keep up with whatever the fuck Tom was trying to say. It's plain as day to me.
What they did was they said, you're not going to claim Matrix 1. So, well, how are you going to win your case if you're not claiming Matrix 1? If you're claiming 2 and 3 only, well, Matrix 1 precedes 2 and 3. So
Right.
you're dead in the water already. It's like saying, I'm going to claim the last part of Mary Poppins, but not the first part. The sequel, actually, the sequel of Mary Poppins.
Right.
It doesn't apply. But that's what Sophia Stewart, the one that claims to be the mother of the Matrix, had called when the story first broke. They had it all coincided with the supplied attorney working with her. And so she called and said, oh, yes, you're the missing link. Right away, coined that phrase right at the top. You're the missing link, and you will claim Matrix 2 and 3 on 1.
No,
Well,
it's not.
she was coming at home, and then the attorney.
We're going to cover Sophia Stewart on this channel here, too, at one point. Beyond the Box, yes, Penny did this show all about Tom. That's what this show is all about. And it was done the day after last week's Let's Talk About It.
that was supplied us took 2.5 years of running the clock out with that suspended license we weren't aware of. So they could argue that he was a family friend. He's the worst enemy in the world. But what happened was he took 2.5 years to create this body of, to edit this body of work. Now you'll see pink on here. I want to point this out. On this first page, you'll see Matrix only. See the top there? It says in pink, Matrix only. Next page, question mark.
It's blurry.
I'm gonna get rid of the blur. Hold on 1 second. You got to see this. So we'll get rid of the blur. Visual effects, none. Now let's go to it this way. All right. So now look at this.
Yeah,
See this question mark in pink, and then it's line out says.
And again, he's sitting in the guest room that he had me stay in while I was at his place last year. Now, he's showing all these documents, but it's just so fucking scatterbrained. You can't focus on one thing at a time here. He's just like, oh yeah, look at this, and look at this, and look at this. It's very unorganized. I bet you maybe 1%, if not less, can follow whatever the fuck he's trying to explain here.
Only Matrix. So what he did was he did his job for Warner Brothers over 2.5 years. We were slaved over getting these are all matchups from Matrix for the case. And he kept sending us back to do it over, do it over, do it over. Then what he does is he goes on vacation and is unreachable. At the deadline for the filing, he's run out the statutes. And then he contacts us the day after the deadline we were to have, when he's not responding for a month, and contacts us and says, I guess we missed it. I guess you don't have a case. Because he was working for them. Then he says, we can probably go forward. Well, the statutes has already been lost. They already know that we missed it. We're like, well, maybe we still had more time. Maybe we discovered a later time. They knew we didn't. So they allowed us they stipulated to go ahead and let us file. And what's interesting is, that's when he does this. So he takes all the Matrix ones and scratches them out, which this is the part that says humans are kept in the pods, the field of pods. Well, that's a big matchup. And he scratches it all like this.
No.
After sending us back and back to do over for doing it.
His script, The Immortals, has people in pods inside of a concrete warehouse. And all of the people in pods are Jewish. I'm not lying. They're in cryo chambers, not pods. So they're not even kept living inside the pods. They're frozen cryogenically. And in his script, they're trying to resuscitate these cryogenically freezed individuals to bring them back because they were frozen at a time in the past. So that's completely different from having a pod using a human as a battery. Completely different.
Years. And finally, we got so fed up, we just entered the same body of work a month after he said do it over. And he said, now it's perfect. We hadn't done a change at all. So it was all about running the clock out. And then he didn't tell us about the suspended license. He goes and files it then, a couple weeks later, after we've missed the statute, and says, oh, by the way, we're on the way, we filed it, you're on the ground running, but I got to share something with you later. I had to file it pro per. Why? I thought you were our attorney for 3 years. Well, he filed it pro per and said, I'll explain later. Then he let us know about the suspended license. He said he had forgotten about the contract if we had signed it. He'd signed it. But he wanted that to disappear because it was a legal contract. It was going to bind us. And so this is all tied together. Just look what's going on here. So,
Question, Tom. How did you find this guy? How did he become your attorney?
That's a great
He's not going to answer that.
question. He solicited us, which is illegal.
Oh, God.
Solicited us, and it gets
So he was
worse.
sent.
He solicited Tom. No, Tom was supplied an attorney by the state. And he's never going to say that.
It gets worse. So what happens is, yeah, he was sent by Warner Brothers to solicit me, but it gets worse.
No. Again, Tom was supplied an attorney by the state because he could not afford one. He's trying to repeat the lie that Warner Brothers supplied an attorney for Tom. No, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm sorry.
Worse, because he also was the one that housed the honeypot wife before she approached me. She went from Mike Lang and Disney from Modesto, California, brought to Maui, and she was supplied housing by the attorney that would solicit me. Sex for trade. So she was a practicing prostitute.
Here's my hot take. The wife went to go talk to the attorney, and both of them said Tom's a fucking nut job. And then they had an affair. Does that sound untruthful? And then eventually Tom found out. And he's trying to say this is all a master plan by the Wachowskis and the CIA and the FBI.
With warrants and everything else. Poor Aiden. So what happens is, he also housed Terry Berliner, who is the Lion King and Beauty and the Beast Broadway director from Disney.
Literally, yeah. Oh, by the way, Joseph Smith. Tom was calling Aiden's mother while Aiden was in the house. Tom was talking to me in the kitchen while Aiden was upstairs. Tom was calling Aiden's mother honeypot wife, prostitute. He was saying all of these words while Aiden was upstairs. You're telling me a teenager's not listening into what's going on in the kitchen downstairs? Imagine all the times that Aiden has had to hear Tom call his own mother, Aiden's mother, a honeypot wife. I feel so bad for Aiden. Joseph Smith says, let's make a script about a confused writer, change the tiniest details about Tom's story, and call it honeypot wife. Good to see you here again, Joseph. Joseph's a follower of mine on Instagram. It's been a while. Good to see you here again.
Honeypot wife, before she approached me.
So I rewound this probably 20 seconds or so.
She went from Mike Lang and Disney from Modesto, California, brought to Maui, and she was supplied housing by the attorney that would solicit me. Sex for trade. So she was a practicing prostitute, with warrants and everything else. Poor Aiden. So what happens is, he also housed...
So Tom also found out that his wife was an ex-prostitute after he married her. Like, this dude doesn't do much research on the people he gets close to, does he? Beyond the Box says, Joseph, they are out there. I just think they used to be called gold diggers. Yep. Joseph says, glad to support you here still. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're live on 4 platforms today. We're on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. And all of this is going to be broadcast on these multiple platforms going forward. And I'm still releasing shorts. The shorts are now coming from this show, from this series. Let's talk about it. And I'll be producing more shorts as time goes on, as I clean up the older episodes and condense everything down. I want to get these into audio format only, and then get those up on the different podcast websites. I'm putting my footprint out there. I don't fucking care if Tom doesn't like it. He still hasn't said a word to me personally since last October, when he said, let's go our separate ways and forget about all this. He's still here talking about all of it. He's still running his lies on all these different platforms. He's still fooling a lot of people. And I'm here to dispel all of these lies. Oh man. Joseph says, my Instagram and my Facebook got called for supposed community guidelines violations. That sucks, man. You see, that's why I'm on all these different platforms too. So like in my description here on YouTube, there's all the links, and it's in the description on BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble as well. But I have all these other outlets, but if all else fails, Yissilmissil.com or Yissilmissilproductions.com, you'll find all of my content over there. I'm in the process of doing a major update, and I haven't published it yet because I got 30 odd uploads to go. I'll just show you here real quick. Rumble to upload. I'm re-uploading all of these shows because I wasn't able to live stream simultaneously before, and I just let it slack off. So now I am uploading everything onto the different platforms. I have 30 videos to go over 3 different platforms. So hopefully I can get it done in the next week. It's gonna be a good update once everything's squared away. But my website's at the very bottom of every description. Yissilmissilproductions.com. And I suggest people to bookmark that and just have it available in case anything happens. If any of these one sites go down, at least I'll have my main website to redirect everybody to the other active other platforms that I'm posting things on. So that's just a small update for everybody that's newly tuning in here. Joseph says, I haven't rejoined Instagram or Facebook because I'm mad they could do it without any proof or warnings of violation. I'm shunning them still since June 4th. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Joseph. Now, I'm very thankful that I'm still on here. They didn't like me posting on YouTube the school board meetings calling out why there's provocative books at arm's length reach for children in their own schools and without parental consent. They didn't like that those were posted. So YouTube agrees that it's inappropriate, but the school districts don't. And so I've moved away from doing a lot of the board meeting video uploads. There's still a bunch of videos posted on my channel here that has to do with board meetings, but I haven't put any recent ones up in about 2 years just because I kept getting channel strikes. I wasn't able to upload anything for a week. I wasn't able to go live. So like, thankfully I only had 1 strike, but 3 strikes and the whole YouTube channel's deleted. So I had to play it careful, and thankfully the Althouse stuff wasn't triggering anything. Although the way Tom talks about all this stuff, it should, right? That's why I say that these agencies, if they are even paying attention to Tom at this point, if they ever did at all, they don't see him as a threat because they're letting all of his interviews stay up. You know? Joseph says, I do think all your ongoing Tom content is fair in lieu of the work you would have been doing on books or documentary vids. Yeah, I had planned, like, keep this in mind. Tom invited me out to Texas. I flew there on my own volition. I paid for the whole trip myself. I brought all of my film equipment, $3-4 grand worth of equipment out there. And the plan was to film several hours of content that would be edited by myself into a documentary. Like, I wanted a one-on-one, a single shot with both of us in the frame where Tom is presenting all of his physical evidence. That never happened. By the time we got to his house, he said, I don't want to do the documentary, I want to write a book. And I'm just like, oh, what the fuck, man? And I tried making him breakfast. He didn't want it. He didn't like it. He wanted me to dig a garden out for him. Then he didn't like the location. He wanted to resod it, planted a different garden in his backyard. By October, I asked him about the garden. He said, oh, it's dead. And that was it. Like, no other conversation about it. So he doesn't take care of things. You'd think that gardens reflect people's ability to tender and take care of things. And Tom just let his entire garden die. And this was very basic vegetables. This wasn't some elaborate thing. And this is out in Texas where, like, all you got to do is, like, water them once a day. But thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I was going to be putting a lot of time. Like, I accepted the idea of doing a book for Tom, but then while we were making book 1, he wanted to have 3 more. He wanted 4 total. The guy is very unreasonable. It's almost like he wanted to make me quit. You know what I'm saying? But I don't give up. I said, let's try to make this a reality. And then he goes on John B. Wells' show and says that he's going to have it ready by July, and this was in April of 24. So, May, June, July, he wanted me to get a book published in 3 months where he was having me transcribe his thoughts, and he wanted me to basically put it all together and fucking bind it and get it printed. And John B. Wells was offering up to do a Give, Send, Go or GoFundMe to finance the book publishing. That dropped out. That whole idea just went by the wayside after Tom decided that I wasn't worth his time anymore. Yeah, Joseph, go back if you can, because this is episode 15 of Let's Talk About It. So I have 14 other shows like this, and I go into detail about the whole garden thing on one of the shows. Or actually multiple shows. But I show the photographs and everything. Like, he was really having me do all this extra work, and it was for nothing. There's Tom resodding what I dug out for him. You see this? Where I have my mouse, my cursor here. All of this up to the corner of the house I dug out for him to have a garden. And then he said he didn't want this location anymore. So he's like, oh, I'll resod it myself. And he's moving the plants. I think what he ended up doing is keeping half of it. And he wanted to start planting over here. This is a banana tree. I'm sure it's dead now. He said his whole garden died. But there is redoing work that I already did. I dug all this out. I laid down the soil for him. I put these boards up that he went out and bought while I was there. So he did all of this extra fucking work while we were supposed to be making a documentary. He turned this into a whole different project, and now all of that has also died and failed. Just like his screenwriting career. And I'm just surprised that he was even doing work. And he saw this as a photo op. Alright. There's one of his cats. Joseph says, wow, garden, then moved it. I'm reminded of that movie where a guy has to build a stone wall, and when it's built, the master makes him tear it down and move it. The Music of Chance. That sounds interesting. I'll show you one more photograph before we continue on here. This is what these Let's Talk episodes have been like. We pause a lot to go and break down a lot of these different things, look into it. Now, you know what I think's happening? I think we have a silent watcher that's reporting the video. Because I have an error in my OBS. Everything's still getting recorded, so it will be uploaded in its entirety to all these other platforms. It's already live streaming to 4 of them. This was the new location where he ended up going. Let me try something here. Maybe this will help. We'll remove the background for right now. Alright, we're doing good. The stream is okay. Alright, cool. Okay, so let's continue here.
Terry Berliner, who is the Lion King and Beauty and the Beast Broadway direct for trade. So she was a practicing prostitute with warrants and everything else. Poor Aiden. So what happens is, he also housed Terry Berliner, who is the Lion King and Beauty and the Beast Broadway director from Disney, who solicited me also and put me under contract exclusively with her. They do this holding thing where they bring you in under contract and say you're with them while they're showering you with all kinds of positions and gifts and promises. And I was put in the New York, one of the New York journals and she made the call. I remember making the call. There's a 14-page spread about her back at this time in 2005, where she said, here's the upcoming playwright in the world, Tom Althouse, and put that in for the New York Journal. That's your grooming process like Elon went through. So what you have is this thing then kicks in where they eliminate, this is the one where the Smith takes the earpiece out and he's interrogating Morpheus and he doesn't want the other agents to hear him, which is illegal in the Matrix world, and that's there, scratched out also. So what happens is you've got Sophia Stewart brought in to handle me, while the attorney she's working for is working for them also, and also Kate Chilton, the exec that still works with Warner Brothers. Wow, now she's at Netflix, and also Superior Court judge to block everything. So she was the one that wrote the letters with Sophia Stewart back and forth, promising her $5 to $7 million if she'll pay the original author and bring him down. Part of that handling was make sure I didn't claim Matrix 1. Well, now we're going to. So now they're in trouble, and everything suddenly went silent. And now you've got scripts being restored.
So he said the latches ran out, and that the way that he believes he'll be able to go back to court is to claim his condition. Meaning his, whatever mental condition he has, that's gonna supersede the latches on the 7 years that he had to claim. Now, a year after The Matrix came out, he didn't claim it. He ended up trying to claim Demolition Man. He's always doing this like 6 years after the fact. And then by the time he gets into court, the latches run out. And then he's on here fucking crying and complaining that he didn't have enough time.
To help us win. Warner Brothers and their dark lords must have really pissed off the CIA. Something went wrong in the negotiation table, or President Trump and his team actually got a kick under their butts and said, make this right. After Roseanne said it's the biggest story. I don't know all the workings, only God does. So, but here we are with all this important evidence now surfacing and being restored. Those lineouts are huge. That's all the matchups, over 190 matchups that were blocked because they didn't let us play Matrix 1. Now keep in mind also that during the deposition,
he hasn't sat down on any of these shows and gone through all 190 matchups that he claims. You notice this? He throws around maybe 10 or so different matchups, which are mostly just concepts, and it's not scene for scene, line by line. I mean, he really stretches it to try to say that it's based off of his script. It's a fucking joke.
Where they had the deposition of me, and I had the flu. I had the deposition with the flu. I have a slight flu right now. And it's like I rarely ever get sick, but I did at that time. I have right now, so hear in the voice what I sounded like in my deposition with the congestion. But what's interesting is, at that deposition, the attorneys for Warner Brothers asked, why didn't you claim Matrix 1? And you hear Tony Rankin, the suspended licensed attorney, who was classmates of them and a defense attorney. Why did a defense attorney solicit to handle my case? I'm not the defense.
Right.
Know how to throw it. And so you hear him go, objection. Objection to what? Objection to me asking, or them saying about Matrix 1. And this is part of that series right here, from the deposition sheets itself. And in it, he went on to say, you can't answer that question.
Which, again, I think I'm one of the only people, if not the only person, that's published his second deposition audio, which he claims was a tape swapped out at the deposition, that it was actually the questioning attorney's tape. Nah. This was his own tape that he illegally recorded his own deposition on, and he walked out of that deposition. He told them, time's up. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, we're taking this to court. We're going to show that you walked out. And he's like, I don't fucking care. That was his attitude. And then he went on a phone call shortly after walking out and told them, oh my God, they were like yelling and screaming at me. No, they weren't. The fuck are you talking about, Tom? Lerny says selective memory disorder. Yeah. Yeah, that is Tom for you. If you listen to that show, I think it was episode 11. We went over the deposition. It's called, I titled it Deposition Man. I want to go back and retitle all of these Let's Talk shows so that we know what we're dissecting on each show. But, and Joseph says he held that script up and it looked like too many fingers. It was 4 fingers and a long pencil thumb sticking up. Yeah, Tom's hands are just lanky like that because he doesn't do any physical work. Let's be honest here.
Well, why can't I answer that question? And they argue back and forth about answering that question. Then he goes like this: you can answer it only if it has nothing to do with me. That's not your attorney fighting for you. That's your attorney blocking you and protecting his own butt. And so the answer is he's the one that ordered me not to claim it and blocked me with an illegal contract. Now, let's go back to that contract. The contract he had said when he filed, right, and said, oh, I forgot to tell you I had a suspended license, since 1982, and it's 2012, and it's 1982. You forgot. You forgot. Meanwhile, yeah, and their attorneys, and jump in anytime you have a comment or thought, throw it in. We might discover together. So, yeah. So he is that long, and their attorneys were using that saying, well, he was a family friend. It was not. It was all staged that way. And part of that family friendship was to show up at my house before that, like in 2010, right? When Elon Musk is being groomed in Iron Man 2 to take the tech, he's being groomed after Rankin's at my house stealing our scripts, our drafts. That's when Elon's brought in and given the first grooming for the tech of Neuralink, which is called Neural Enhancer. And
so this attorney went to his house in 2010, and the court's trying to say that it's a family friend. And so it probably was a family friend. It was the person that was having an affair with your wife, Tom. You can be a little more straightforward with that.
What happens is that lunch at my home, that's when Tony Rankin, on a Saturday, in my dining room, is saying, is this everything on the table? Is this all the evidence? And again, it's like Kevin Spacey in Pulp Fiction, right? Or it was where the Scottish sounding...
There he is again. He says Kevin Spacey in Pulp Fiction. Kevin Spacey was never in Pulp Fiction, you dumb fuck.
A police chief is saying, have you told anybody, Boyd? He says, no. Okay. Kills him. Because no one's going to know, be wiser. Mm-hmm. So what happens at that meal, the pager goes off. He goes, I have to take this call. On a Saturday, you got to take this call? There's no business day. It's not a business day. He's like, you have to leave the room. You and your family have to leave the room. You're over for dinner at my house, and I have to leave my own dining room? After you just said, is this all the evidence? They were listening in, obviously, on the tape recorder, and which is bugged. And they were listening in. And as soon as we said, yes, that's all the evidence, they're pretty stupid, beep, goes the pager. And he says that. So we're absent from the room. He's our attorney, for all we know. And he went through the poor man's patent, pulled out the full script, whipped it open.
He's our attorney, for all we know. Tom, you're a stupid motherfucker. Joseph says, I absolutely believe, Tom, that intellectual property theft happens. It does. It does happen, but it's not happened the way that he's claiming here. Where they've been up his ass since the early 90s. No. And that they're continuing to produce content based off of his one script. Like, give me a fucking break. The one script that he can't show the world to provide proof to all of his claims.
Glued it back with a lather, runs a bunch of glue. He asked for glue ahead of time. So he had it. Lathers it back on. Then what he does is he takes the scripts, these screenplays right here. And this one in particular right here is, besides, there's 2 of them right here. And thanks for taking the time with this. This is important to establish. This one right here is one of the ones he took out of the evidence box. And this was taken, which has the writing at the top, which says October 7, 1995. Remember, they wanted all drafts before 96.
Again, we can't prove that this is from 95. If we were to go to court right now, one of the questions that would come up is, how do we not know that you just printed this out and wrote on it 95 and then went in your backyard and stepped on it? It's a valid question, right? He said that these other scripts appeared on his bed after he came back home from Florida. And his explanation is that, the CIA must have broken into his house without leaving any evidence behind except the scripts. There's only so much bullshit I could put up with. And that's it. I don't believe that fucking part of any of this. But here he is. That's his new go-to topic. Is saying, look, I got the older scripts now. Very interesting. And this happened after he cut me out.
Yes.
They didn't make it until 96. So this one they grabbed, ripped it apart, and took the cover page off. And he shoved the cover page, that's what I said, he shoved the cover page down my son's art box, destroying his artwork, so we never longer wanted his artwork. Shoved it down to the bottom. And that was the cover page, and he took this. And from the poor man's patent, he ripped out this one. It's this one right here. So this one's ripped out. This one's also taken. And this is the one that we showed you before with the actual proof of the date down there. Look at the date. So this one is one he takes also. The 93 is a gold mine. And again, it says the first draft. They want the...
Why is it crossed out? Thomas P. Althouse, Kaufman Boulevard, Chesapeake, Virginia. He's never talked about living in Virginia in 93. Joseph Smith says, Tom's supposed, quote, inside knowledge, end quote, starts out really fascinating, and his fast speech rate starts out really impressive. Makes a listener think we're getting somewhere, but it never ends. You're right on the money, Joseph. Lerny says, it's a bullshit artist tactic. Also him being selective who is on the receiving end. Yeah, as we see here, the person I warned him about, Penny L.A. Shepherd, he's her lapdog now. He's on her show here, you see this, and this was on Monday, a day after last week's Let's Talk About It. He's never going to open this up and show people, what, like page by page, what's going on. Because like Lerny said, he is a bullshit artist.
This one. Because they have no working drafts. They said that on tape. We gave us the wrong tape recorder back at my own deposition. So you have all these proofs now being restored. And that means something.
Yes,
But
it does.
at that deposition, look at this transcript. At that deposition, Joel Silver's the defendant. Joel Silver, if you go to any Matrix tape, it says producer, executive producer, Joel Silver. Joel Silver's on clips that I played at conventions where, as a key speaker, that he's saying he's the one that brought it to fruition. He's the one that did it. He's the one in charge of it. He's the one that profits off it. He's the one that gave it to the Wachowskis. He's the one that bought it with his own spec money. But what they say here is, let me read what it says here. Question from their attorney. Is it your belief that whatever occurred between Mr. Silver and Warner Brothers has something to do with your lawsuit? And then answer, I can't. I get cut off. It says, I can't. And Tony Rankin steps in. Now, Tony Rankin's job is supposed to protect his client, right? He's not.
We heard in the deposition in episode 11 of Let's Talk About It, he was getting asked questions, and he kept repeating the questions back inaccurately and asking for clarification because he couldn't answer the questions. Another tactic of the bullshit artist, trying to buy time to make up lies about questions on the spot to him.
Not the defense attorney in my case. He's supposed to be the
I've asked him questions. You go back to interview 2 that I did with Tom Althouse. I brought up some direct questions that he beat around the bush answering. I ask him about one thing, he talks about another.
prosecuting attorney. He said he would protect me. He only protected himself. Listen to the statement he makes, because you basically fill in your mind what it might say. First of all, you're rubbing your client up 2 words. So he is chunking on this. Again, the statement is, and it is your belief that whatever occurred between Mr. Silver and Warner Brothers has something to do with your lawsuit. I can't. And he comes. Because he's Joel Silver. He was for Joel Silver. That morning before deposition, he said, you're delusional. You're grandiose delusions, thinking Joel Silver has anything to do with the Matrix. Anyone? Go to the Matrix and look what it says as producers. So here's his interjection. Protect his client. Objection. It calls for speculation. That belief is not relevant. We named Joel Silver as the defendant, and we're going to say we're going to object that's not relevant.
So here's something interesting. The court deposition calls out Tom, saying that the evidence he's bringing forward is speculation. There's no hard evidence. I think that says a lot, too. Yeah, we're running a little sluggish here. I think for next stream, we won't stream to 4 platforms. I think I'll cut out BitChute because really, I'm not getting too much activity on that platform. Maybe that'll help with the streaming. But this is the first show of Let's Talk About It where we're streaming on 4 platforms at once. So that might be part of the issue. But stick with me here because we're almost halfway through and we're going to finish this today.
That's all speculation. Then, the attorney for Warner Bros. They remember working together, but they're not close. They're a den of thieves. So they're starting to set him up as the fall guy. And they're battling at my own deposition from the piece of cake in the middle. Now watch what happens. Mrs. Burrow says, you can answer. What's Mr. Rankin going to say to that? Now, he's your attorney, right? Let's play this out. So she says, you can answer, Mr. Rankin, if you can. If you can. He said it in such a demeaning way, like I'm an idiot. Just like he said, you're delusional to think that Silver's involved. Well, Silver went on to be involved in Matrix 4. Made Oblivion alter card off for work after hell the evidence next to Rankin. So here's what happens. I say, I'll have to honor my attorney. I didn't know what to do.
I know.
I didn't know what to do. I'll have to honor my attorney. That's the polite answer.
Yeah.
I don't know, just to the point of how much I'm being screwed, keep in mind that on tape, their own person named Ahmad or whatever his name is, he was this inside guy at the courts who was working for Warner Brothers and was actually on his LinkedIn, it says he is I forget, boosted or whatever, sponsor, whatever it is, for being by Warner Brothers for being their litigation support. So this guy, they contacted me and said, I was here talking about the evidence that is at work in my job, and they came in bragging that they have their attorney has that are in their pocket, and that he has their back against the wall, and that he has your that he, you don't have no idea how much you're being screwed. They were bragging you're worth $500 million. Why tell me all that? Because then he says, oh, by the way, you need to be Rios and Associates, who's also classmates with Rankin Burroughs from University of Berkeley, also a defense attorney, who then comes to the handoff attorney to make sure the case is totally thrown. And there's a letter from Rankin to Rios saying, you're part of R3, and if you don't behave yourself and drop Tom, and make sure you tell me any other attorney that wants Tom enough to talk him out of it, then you're going to be subject to the worst thing too.
So when you said, Tom, let me see if I'm getting this. So when you catch on that your attorney is working against you,
right.
They send in someone else to save you that supposedly is an attorney, and it's the same game players.
Yes,
and for those that haven't seen a lot of the other interviews with Tom, you were initially targeted and groomed as a child, and you broke away. You wrote The Immortals and submitted that script, and it had a lot of what you had learned as a groomed with this cabal that you were brought into. They steal the script. They write... what was it? The Immortals.
Right.
No, that's yours. What was it?
Well, that's what they wrote.
The Matrix.
They wrote
The Matrix, yeah. So they write the Matrix, and then they use pieces of it in other things.
Yes.
And when you come after them, they have a bogus insider sue in your place to beat you to the courts, award it to her, and then so all of this is orchestrated to make you look like, oh, me too. And then you go in there, and then they're providing your backhandedly providing your attorneys, and then keep an eye on you because you went rogue on the call or whatever you want to call them. You go rogue, so they send you a honeypot wife to keep an eye on you, and this kind of
they supply had sex with. Yeah.
What?
The attorney they supplied, this Tony Rankin on this transcript,
Had sex with your honeypot wife.
He housed her from Modesto. She was a prostitute when she was Modesto without any warrants. He brought her to California or to Maui and had her stay at his house, sex for trade. And that's why Mike Lang at Disney sent the emails on my birthday in 2016 when George Michael was killed. In 2016, on my birthday, there's the emails, all these emails from Mike Lang's Zion to Becca, my wife. And all her records were expunged. Everybody sent back all their warrants back. And what happened was it said, Becca, move in with me for 60 days to his mistress pad. He had just bought multi-million-dollar historic property. So Mike Lang slept with her then. In the end, it's supposed to make me weaker or something, like I'm less than man, that they slept with the wife. And that's what the Disney attorney told me on the phone. So I said, why would you do that? And he's like, she said, ego. So
I just want to mention one thing. The female that was attributed Stewart, she did not win a judgment on the Matrix. She did not win a judgment. She won a judgment against her attorney for whatever malfeasance that he did. She did not win a judgment.
that's the first point.
Yeah, neither did you, Tom.
Very important point, because also Elon Musk will not get Pepper Neuralink if it doesn't succeed in doing what they want, Warner Bros. Call with the president. So with him falling now, he's at risk of losing the rights. And that may be why I got contacted also with the idea that we can put our information in there. So the $7 million that Kate Chilton from Warner Bros. Promised was at my deposition. Kate Chilton was here. The one that handles Sophia Stewart was at my deposition.
What the H?
And so when she was there, what happened was Sophia Stewart would get $5 to $7 million if something happens to me. If Mike Lang's plan was if the author dies.
She didn't get it, $5 to $7 million. She didn't get it.
She didn't get it. So that's what that was all about. They threw this thing in Las Vegas where she's allowed to make a claim against her own attorneys, not on the Matrix merits, against her own attorneys.
Yes.
Warner Bros. Made sure no one showed up. And so it was a default thing. They allowed her to save face, but she didn't make sense. Nothing chance. But these are very important points. This is good we're establishing. Because what you have here, this situation, every objection was done to me at my deposition. And keep in mind that Rankin is legally taping the whole thing with his tape recorder. The same tape recorder was at that luncheon.
I'm getting comments on YouTube here that there's a lot of disruption happening. I have 0 dropped frames on OBS. The frame rate on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey are a little below what I'm broadcasting out with. My best course of action is for Tuesday's show to go down to 30 frames a second. But we've been doing 60 frames this whole time.
Because what you have here with this situation, every objection was done to me at my deposition. And keep in mind that Rankin is legally taping the whole thing with his tape recorder. The same
Lie. Tom recorded his own deposition with his own tape recorder and walked. You could hear him walk out of the deposition in episode 11 here on Let's Talk About It and call somebody and then say, oh wait, hold on, and then he turns it off. That was his tape recorder. Tom just lied here.
very important points. This is what we're establishing. Because what you have here, this situation, every objection was done to me by deposition. And keep in mind that Rankin is illegally taping the whole thing with his tape recorder.
Tom was illegally recording his own deposition with his own tape recorder, and he gave me the files to use in his documentary that we never completed. That's the truth.
Same tape recorder was at that luncheon on that Saturday back in 2010 at my house, where he said, since everything about that pager call and went through everything apart and ripped the poor man's patent apart, that shows up at 2013 at my deposition. It says pretty close. I'll show it next time. So in that, it's simply just 8-page scribbled notes, but he inadvertently had ripped out the notarized statement. But he had it at the offices at where he's in California, at the building 1 offices. They had it there, but they just didn't know where it was. That's where you see this weird excuse train, which I want to put for public also, where you actually have Rankin on the transcript saying, when I'm going to see the poor man's patent, he's like, well, it's, here's something that may be important when I enter it for you, but why don't you go copy it before he has a chance to go through it? Why would you go copy it without being regarded and say reassert it? But she decides to let me open it first. And so on the air, because I guess she feels she's got us. And so Rankin's concerned because he's the one that doctored it. He's the one that took everything out. He messed up. And so when I opened it, you see me going like, oh my God, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. The script's gone. And you see Rankin popping in the picture like this, looking really concerned and I catch on. And he actually says, but it was out of my hands before he has a chance to go through it and take it and pop it. What? Unfortunately, we have on the record that it's missing. But she takes it and she's like this. She's gone for a good 5-10 minutes. And here's what happens, guys. She comes back and says this. I apologize. It's on the transcript. On the tape. I apologize. I used to make fun of people that couldn't work copiers, but I copied the first few pages and I forgot how to work copier. Just got to the point where the rest.
I forgot how to work the copier.
That's right. That's right. Then at the end, the 7.5 million hours after the flu.
You see, Tom is saying all these outrageous things, and they're just all eating it up. Look at his smug-ass face here. It's like, you're buying every bit of this. All you three are buying all of this that I'm bullshitting you with. That's the face that he's wearing here.
You have her say this. It's on the tape transcript. Listen, we're out of time. 7.5 hours is out of time. It's supposed to be 7. Listen, I got something really important.
Doesn't say that they're out of time. He says time is up for him. And they're like, what are you doing? You have to stay here for the whole deposition. He's like, no, I've been here 7 hours. The time's up. I'm leaving. That's what Tom said. That's not what these other people said. They said, we're not done questioning you. You have to stay here. You can't leave. And he said, I'm leaving. I was here for my allotted 7 hours over 2 days, and now I'm leaving. And then the questioning attorney, Sohal, is like, let this be on the record that he's walking out of the deposition, and we are going to use this in the next court appearance, that he walked out. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I've been here for the allotted time. And now he's here saying a different story, isn't he?
Then at the end, the 7.5 rolling hours after the flu, you have her say this. It's on the tape and transcript. Listen, we're out of time. 7.5 hours is out of time. It's supposed to be 7.
Nope.
Listen, I got something really important for offside to get. Mr. Rankin, why don't you feel free to...
Nope. Tom said that he had other things to do and he had to leave. He walked out of his own deposition. And he didn't care what everybody else in that room thought or said. They wanted him to stay to finish the questioning, and he said no.
Got your legs with me, and I'll go out and get to my office. When she comes back, she never came back. She was out from her office. That's simple to get. But when Rankin leaves with her, he re-enters with the poor man's patent and the notarized statement re-entered into it. The triple pages and starts yelling at me that this is what was in the back all along. And somehow I decided I pulled out the pages in my distress, pulled out the pages and left the thing in there. When he's on camera going through it.
So where's this video of the deposition? I'd love to see the video of this. Because we went over the audio. I'd like to see the video now, too.
Then it gets worse, and it gets worse.
So it's like he was trying to make you feel like you're going crazy, like you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, just yelling and screaming at me. He said, I'm trying to understand, this is what, Joe,
This is a constant lie that he says, that people are yelling and screaming at him. When he walked out of his own deposition, when he was walking through the courthouse and left the building, he called someone on his phone and told the person on the phone that all these other people were yelling and screaming at him. When we heard for ourselves that they were not yelling and screaming at him, he was spiraling. He was having a meltdown. He got cold feet and left his own deposition. And he gave fuck all whether it's appropriate or not. He was in the middle of being questioned, and he's like, oh, time's up. I have other places to be. Bye. And you can go and look at that on episode 11. We went through the entire 2+ hour deposition audio that he gave me for the documentary. Joseph says, I just love it. I love Tom saying it and then hearing it spread into their vocabulary and hearing them say it back. Yeah, he does a really good job of doing that. Joseph says, I think everyone should be able to record constantly one's own point of view legally, for proof's sake, like a dash cam for the driver of vehicles. One's own body dash cam ought to be illegal, right, with caveats. Yeah, I agree with that, Joseph.
What the submitting attorney, James Boyd, never submitted. This is it. This is it. You watch. This is it. He's fighting for them. And so what happens is, he says, I told him, don't call James Boyd the submitting attorney, right? Because I didn't trust him. I was going to get rid of him. I tried to fire him, right? All this. And he contacts him anyway. He tells me, James Boyd has nothing. You don't have a case. If nothing. Don't call him.
So James Boyd and Norfolk, those were, I think, from 2000 when he was suing Warner Brothers for Demolition Man. Not The Matrix. 2000. 2000's Demolition Man. Again, at a 6-year mark, right before the statutes run out. He has a habit of doing this. Of starting lawsuits just before the time is going to run out. And then he can go blame everyone else in the fucking world about his shortcomings with putting together a lawsuit properly.
I call James Boyd. He had the script, he had the arrest statement, he had the character breakdown, the story treatment, everything. Now keep in mind this too. When that the arrest statement pulled out, inadvertently Brandon pulled out first page story treatment, because this first page story treatment, we used the back of it from the arrest statement. So it makes sense that I sealed a script closed on this thick where you can see the scenes from 128 pages. And why would I miss the first page of the story treatment? And no arrest mail, And so what's interesting is he had everything. And here's the catch. That poor man's patent where they tried to get me to switch around and say this must be it, he baffled me. And I was exhausted and had the flu. What's interesting is James Boyd's submission of the script preceded the board.
He keeps using the excuse that he had the flu. You notice that? So that is his way of covering for him walking out of his own deposition. What a fucking retard. Hey, Andreas, good to see you. Joseph says, I like, quote, honeypot wife, unquote, as a thing. A component of strategy, a device to be plugged into the formula of any control plan. A pawn on the board, Joseph Verney says. Yep.
So if we had a full script submitted by James Boyd, and he has the certified letter to Warner Brothers, he has his tracking number, the receipt. Sorry, Warner Brothers, sorry, Lincoln. There's no way in hell or heaven that he sent a full script, which he did, and proved now, and did an affidavit proving and notarized himself, that there'd be a poor man's patent a month later that had 8 pages of scribble notes.
Right.
Right? So we got
Andreas, we're watching a live video from last Monday, so the day after last week's episode 14 of Let's Talk About It. And we're watching through the entirety here and calling out the bullshit.
oh my God. But at that thing, when Rankin was screaming at me, this is it. In comes Burks. So I understand, he's not saying what she had, so forth in the office, but I understand you want to change your statement.
Wow.
And so what happens is, this is everything. One day it was like at lunch. Both Burroughs for Warner Brothers and Rankin for Warner Brothers pictures went off at the same time at that 7.5 hour mark. We were beep, 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 beep. And they go, I gotta get something from the office. Rankin, why don't you stretch your legs? So what happens was they do this. It gets worse. He, of course, he recorded this whole thing all the time, but they put half off. She proceeds and forgets to put it back on record. So she goes on record and says, we're done. It's Rankin that chimes in. When we're done, he goes, wait. My client has to go back on record. We have to go back on record. What? Mr. Rankin, they just let us have it for free. We're done. He said, we're done. He gets me back on.
No. Tom said he was done, and Sohal wanted on the record that Tom was walking out. Again, back on episode 11 of Let's Talk About It, 4 shows ago. Go check that out. Alright, hold up. We're gonna end the BitChute stream. Of starting last time is never enough. Wow, it's really janky here too. Trying to fix it. Yeah, there's nobody watching on Odyssey. It's crazy. For good measure, I really don't like doing this, but I'm going to have to. Again, we're going to finish here on YouTube. All right. I got 4 more followers on Rumble. You see, that's why I'm doing... Okay, now it's actually working fine. So maybe it was BitChute and Odyssey. Let me know here in the chat on YouTube how it's rolling. Yes. Alright, everything is going to end up being streamed and reposted on all of these other platforms. But for right now, we're going to stream just from YouTube. So, thank you all that tuned in on Rumble. Please head over to my YouTube channel. That's nuts. All right. I don't think that would have caused a problem because we streamed to Rumble last week as well. All right, let's continue this on. Hopefully the stream picks up. It looks like the bitrate picked up.
My client has to go back on record and refute what he said about the packet. What do you have to go back on record? What? Mr. Rankin, they just let us have it for free. We're done. They said we're done. He gets me back on the record. I was so exhausted and mind-boggled that I went like this. It was a blindside, having your attorney do all these injections and things, only for himself. I said, well, if this was what was in the packet, then it must have been what was sent. Thank God James Boyd had the full submission that precedes it, because that trumps it. That means we're good. But after that, they go like this. Rankin said, "Okay, look, you'll be able to punch in a code and reveal your transcript and review it anyway." He told me that. So that means I can make corrections. You're supposed to make corrections. Here's how I get around that. Are you ready for this? If we have time, what they do is this. So then Linda Burrows is on there going like, with the copy, the court reporters. There's a videographer on one video, and one that does the transcript. She got both. They had come up the midpoint and said, I said, this must be really boring for you hearing all this stuff. They go, no, we're fascinated. They're shaking my head saying, it's an honor to meet you, which means that's how juries will respond, right? These guys see this all the time, and they're blown away. So at the end, they're stepping in for me, going, wait, don't you want him to be able to review it like we all? No, we're just going to go, Burroughs says, we're just going to go with what the court procedures are, whatever they are. We're just going to go whatever they are. We're going to go with that. Just totally clouding it over. So was there a code I could punch in for free? No.
No.
The court reporters had a letter addressed to me, ready for me, that said I could review my transcript. So what happens? They have it all ready for me. They send it to Rankin to give to his client. Rankin never gives it to his client. Rankin instead says the court reporter said he can't review your transcript. They're not going to. You'd have to spend $1,000 to go back to California to review it because they want to leave it on there that I said, or whatever must have been in the packet. And so I never got a chance to review it. Thank God. And then they said that I was mean to the court reporters, that they were upset with me. No, I contacted the court reporters later and said, this is what happened. They gave me a free transcript and they gave me the video before the thing was opened. We got
Nice.
this. Now keep in mind that at that end,
He's never shown the video on any of these platforms. Ever.
Tony Rankin gave the wrong tape recorder back. And so we've got Linda Burroughs on tape when Rankin's covering his butt saying, so Linda, that's how he talks. How about, what about those long-awaited disclosures, which is supposed to be done back a year before? Where's those how about those? Well, it's a moot point to ask for any discovery because we have no working drafts. And you're not claiming Matrix 1. So, there may be drafts for that, but you're not going to have those because you're not claiming it. And, well, we have it on tape because Rankin gave us the wrong tape recorder back. There is a God. He's great. So listen to this, wrap it up on this one. So we had, and it's your belief that whatever occurred between Mr. Silver and Warner Bros. Had something to do with your lawsuit. I can't. Objection. It calls for speculation as belief is not relevant. Shutting me down. Mrs. Burroughs goes, you can answer. Rankin interjects, if you can. Very demeaning. I said, I'll have to honor my attorney. Now listen how it wraps up. This in the section. And you're exhausted with the flu. Mrs. Burroughs says, no, he didn't instruct you. So the attorney for Warner Bros. Saying he didn't instruct you that you can't answer. And then Mr. Rankin goes, well, I'll instruct you to answer to the extent that it doesn't call for rank speculation, which I don't think is the proper subject for testimony. You just smeared your client all over the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
You just accused him of being an idiot and for having no basis of fact or thought, for being...
Yeah. Hey, look. Someone actually called you out for who you really are, Tom. You don't like that, do you?
You just smeared your client all over the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
You just accused him of being an idiot and for having no basis of fact or thought, for being delusional. And what's very funny is that God has him say rank speculation when the name is Rankin.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's God has a good play. Then Mrs. Burrow says, okay, you have a couple of, listen to this, times raised the fact that you've raised the quote, separation between Joel Silver and Warner Brothers. What? Separation between? Okay, so what they're doing now is they got Rankin to block.
Separating out the case.
So they're going to try to make sure Silver's not involved. They're going to try to get me to say Silver has nothing to do with it. Silver has nothing to do with it. Because Silver doesn't want to have a deposition, remember? And they block that too later. I go, uh-huh. And he goes, on a few occasions in this deposition, because I talked about Silver.
Yeah, so everything should be smooth now. We are streaming exclusively on YouTube again. I stopped the other streams for the other platforms. BitChute had really garbled audio for some reason. Awesome. I'm glad that it's smooth again. We might just have to stick with the two platforms of YouTube and Rumble for next time.
I said, it's pretty glaring and striking the media right now, or was. And she says, okay, and my question is, what, if anything, does that have to do with this case? Mr. Rankin says, same objection. He's really hammering it home, isn't he? Mrs. Burrow, you can answer. Rankin, if you can. What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, that's the ultimate restraint.
I want this for the public to see, posted, along with the whole story and the evidence and everything. I want them to see the full picture here of just how ludicrous this was when they read he lost his case.
And hey, Zun, good to see you back here. And chat's saying everything's running smoothly now. That's good. Joseph says it froze shortly after you ended the one stream, but now it's perfect. All right.
So then you have, and keep in mind, this is the guy that when he was fired, half hour later, allowed them to proceed to summary judgment without any objection. Called him and said you could do that. He used the phone calls in the meeting. I said, and Mr. Rankin says, if you can, I said, it would be my opinion. Mrs. Burrow says, okay, why did you raised this issue several times during this deposition. And then I go, uh-huh. Why did you do that? Why did I raise the issue? Correct. That he was removed? Well, why, yes. I would say because the timeline of events as the rest of this case. Timeline? What do you mean by the timeline of events? You see what's going on? It's exhausting. And then they're like, that as you are showing, you have materials that are whatever's released or put on the web or anything regarding to me, you have it. So it would be to follow that the information regarding the stat sheet in Matrix itself, where the siblings put in what is obviously my personal stats, would have been something I believe that would have been snuck by, if you will, Joel Silver's attention, possibly, and I believe that he would be held responsible and accountable for such blatant information, personal information about myself being inserted into the film itself. They're letting me talk because they don't know what to do, because that's talking about the inserted material, right? Now, they would have cut me off long before this.
What did he just say?
Regarding the stat sheet in Matrix itself, where the siblings put in what is obviously my personal stats, would have been something I believe that would have been snuck by, if you will, Joel Silver's attention, possibly, and I believe that he would be held responsible and accountable for such blatant information, personal information about myself being inserted into the film itself. They're letting me talk because they don't know what to do, because that's talking about the inserted material, right? Now, they would have
No, their jaws are just on the floor because they can't believe that this guy's actually going through all this. And the claims that he's making is very outrageous. Alright. We're finishing this up. Got roughly 23 minutes left of this.
cut me off long before this. They're trying to hear me say Joel Silver has nothing to do with the case. They're trying to goad me that way. Instead, I'm bringing up the inserts that Joel Silver would have known they were there and been responsible as the producer. I got a way around it, see? Perhaps the siblings didn't think they would be, it would come to light. But since it did, I believe someone had to take the fall. I believe Joel Silver took the fall, in my opinion, for what the siblings put in the film. And the timeline would go to follow that when we went to file suit, Joel Silver, after 25 years or so in the business, association with Warner Brothers, where he had been writing, I heard, checks off their own account, which is true, is suddenly removed. That's a very major move. It lines up with the timeline very nicely, and is striking in my opinion. Boom. What I just laid out there was that Joel Silver was fired. I took the question, turned it right around. If you're asking me why Joel Silver's no longer there, you just got Rankin blocking me for saying why, if he's involved. Okay, we'll take this then. And I'm glad even if my flu I was able to do it, God was with me. That was the angels. Because I just laid out, took it back that Joel Silver was removed. The timeline shows because he allowed those inserts to go in there. Because those inserts just surfaced, and he was fired right after it was known the inserts were there. He's responsible for my personal information in the Matrix as that producer. Boom. So that's what just landed there. And if anybody's confused,
You saying Joel Silver was fired after this is again all speculation on Tom's part.
go in there, because those inserts just surfaced, and he was fired right after there was none of the inserts were there. He's responsible for my personal information in the Matrix as that producer. Boom. So that's what just landed there. And if anybody's confused, they didn't know what to do either. So what's the answer to that? Now Burroughs is a top attorney, transgender attorney
Oh Lord.
for Warner Brothers. Did you get a response from your call to Warner Brothers PR person? So now they're going to try to take it that they weren't involved in any way where they confirmed
Hold on a minute.
there. He's responsible for my personal information in the Matrix as that producer. Boom. So that's what just landed there. And if anybody's confused, they didn't know what to do either. So what's the answer to that? Now Burroughs is a top attorney, transgender attorney
Oh Lord.
for Warner Brothers. Did you get a response from your call to Warner Brothers PR person? So now they're going to try to take it that they weren't.
So he's saying Linda Burroughs is a transgender attorney. Is he saying that she's transgender or she represents transgender? That's weird. Joseph says in the chat, you know when there's a penalty for paying a thing off early, that's Tom Althouse in a nutshell. He can tell a lot and fast, but thou shalt not ever reach the end. Must stretch, must fill time, can tell this branch and these roots, but there can be no full disclosure, no resolution. That's so eloquently put, Joseph. Andreas says, things are going perfectly now. Yeah, on the stream, thank you for letting me know. Hopefully it continues to stream flawlessly here for the rest.
Involved in any way where they confirmed it. But look what just happened there. What happened was they tried to block any comment that Joel Silver was involved, and instead it spun back stronger. So therefore, they're not going to let me see my transcript and ever have a copy. But thanks to court reporters, I did. And I do. And I have it all. And I have the tape that Rankin gave me back.
No, again, he's lying. A tape was never given back to him. He recorded the deposition himself. We have it on audio of him walking out of the deposition and then calling someone saying, oh my God, these people were yelling and screaming at me. Oh, hold on a minute. And then turns off the recorder. So there was no tape swapping involved whatsoever. He walked into that courthouse with a tape recorder with the intention to record his own deposition, and then walked out early after he believed he hit a 7-hour mark over a 2-day period. In the middle of questioning, mind you, where he was asking the person questioning him to repeat the questions over and over, and he couldn't answer them. Plain and simple. And he's like, oh, I gotta go. I have other things to do. And then everybody in that courtroom were like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Joseph says, and he's so gay, I would never ever cast him in a speaking role for heterosexual male. Yeah, Zenray even said here that, he's the gayest straight man Zenray's ever seen. Think about this for a minute. He gets supplied an attorney by the state of Hawaii, because that's where he was living at the time when he did this second lawsuit in 2010. The wife goes and visits the attorney, and then they have an affair, and Tom finds out about it. And now that's why he's calling her the honeypot wife. And then he's saying that the wife had a prior history of prostitution. How did he not know this before he married her? So many questions. Lerny says he's just doing his tomfoolery again. Joseph says tomfoolery Althouse. Yeah, maybe that middle name is, the foolery is spelt with a PH. Tom P. Althouse. Tomfoolery Althouse.
Which has everything on it. We're in golden shape, people. Golden shape. And God, it was written for God's glory. Do you think God's going to let it go away? And let these bozos get away with it?
And this God he's speaking of is not Heavenly Father Creator. This is a God that Penny claims is government of defense. That's her God. Her God's the government. All he's doing is talking about the government and how they're all against him. They're all watching him. Give me a break.
These transgender firm guys get away with it? This guy that does crack and drugs and meth? This Tony Rankin that's now representing the coaches for death coaches on Maui? So they can then get the inheritance of the people that are committing suicide? Legally? In Hawaii? As they're doing in Canada? That's his big business now. Representing as death coaches that take advantage of dying people and get the inheritance given to them.
You're making a lot of connections here with just a handful of people for a wide variety of huge tragedies and cases across the country.
It all comes together on this particular case.
You know, and then the other thing is too, is kind of crossed my mind because I've seen this before where you might go to your own attorney, you might go and seek your own attorney, and then they call up and say, I can't take your case, but I'll recommend someone else and so forth until you wind up with one of theirs.
Yes.
And I've seen that happen as well. And
go back to Tony Rankin's letter. Tony Rankin's letter to Rios Associates, who, by the way, remember the honeypot wife, go back to Mike Lang at Disney? My daughter went to Rios Associates' nephew, the head, Ralph Rios' nephew, or nephew in line, is Jacob Rios, a Mexican mafia thug, who never worked a day in his life, has all the tats and everything. That's who they put when the case was being thrown to marry my daughter. I'll never see my granddaughter. I'll never see her. They used her to trash me all over the web, and she got all the jobs with Disney, ABC.
She did marry him?
Yeah, she did. She did.
Oh my God, Tom.
I'll never see her. I'll never see the children. And she's the little girl in the making. And now she trashes her dad, who wrote it to try to bring her to save her when she promised. She made me promise to her at 5 years old that I'd never give up. So there's a quandary in my emotions. You know, she's 40 years old now, and she'll have nothing to do with Hayden. Says she's not her blood, and hates him, and is with the enemy, supporting the enemy. That's my daughter.
Hayden.
That's terrorist.
wow.
So wherever she goes, they give her a new job. She lives a life of jet skis and everything else. And
I'm gonna go back a little bit here.
she's the little girl in the making. And now she trashes her dad, who wrote it to try to bring her to save her when she promised. She made me promise to her at 5 years old that I'd never give up. So there's a quandary in my emotions. You know, she's 40 years old now, and she'll have nothing to do with Hayden. Says she's not her blood, and hates him, and is with the enemy, supporting the enemy. That's my daughter.
Hayden.
That's terrorist.
Wow.
So wherever she goes, they give her a new job. She lives a life of jet skis and everything else. And the money's
So they get you like where it really hurts.
That's right. That's right. And that's why, and remember that, thank you, Jessica, because that led me to this. In Oblivion, when the case was thrown, Joel Silver claimed Oblivion. Well, who held it for him? Disney. The only ones they gave it to was Joel Silver. In Oblivion, you have the football stadium, the stadium that they couldn't put it in, so it was over budget for the Matrix. They put it there, which was my screenplay, Hunger Games. They put in the Jackson Neck, the identical figures facing off Tom Cruise's character, facing off Tom Cruise.
This is what he's saying. That they went over budget in the Matrix, so they couldn't use up all of Tom's script, so then they waited until these 2 lawsuits went through, including the third one where Warner Brothers, I believe, countersued him. And then they go and use up the rest of his script, as if they weren't doing that. He says that they were doing that for the sequels.
The main characters are Julie and Jack, my 2 siblings that sold out, are the main characters in Oblivion. You got robot-like agents instead of robots in the program, which I argued Joel Silver made a mistake on. He puts it right there. They have a little girl that looks exactly like my daughter at the time, pointing to the sun at the end, the man. That's what's my ending. They have her, they cast a girl that looks like her. She's not an actress, they cast exactly like her. It's the same ending. So he really rubbed it in the face. And it's like that. Then he does Altered Carbon. Now this is important. Altered Carbon. That's when I got run down. My last son, Sean, my second last son was killed after the hit and run on me attempt failed in Canada. And that's when Joel Silver was in Canada doing Altered Carbon, and they were doing Matrix.
So here's a question. Why was Tom living in Virginia, and then Pennsylvania, and this might be out of order, but there's also Canada, and Hawaii, and now Texas, and he's at his second home in Texas. First place he was at was, it was an apartment. Hold on. Because we saw on his ID that he's using to compare to the original first Matrix film, that he was in Baytown, and apparently doesn't even have his proper birth date on there. All this misdirection by him. Alright, Tom has made all this information public, so I'm just going to show you here. He lived over here in Baytown. And then 4.3 miles away, he moved over here, which is where I visited him. So 2021, he was up here, and then he just moved across to the other side of the highway, and he moved into this development, which it was not even like they were building houses across the fucking street. They were building these houses here that are empty lots. And then he moved in here, and I have video of all this. Well, the water, they had crazy shit going on. Now, there were plane flyovers, and you can see here there's not really any forest. Except, like, over here. And this bay. But just an 8-minute drive, a 4-mile difference between his last two homes. And where'd he get the money to buy this home over here is my question. Lerny says repeating questions, endless clarification, rapid fire speech. It's classic. Joseph says sneaky language tricks, speaking without constantly defining terms. Quote, God, end quote, to me versus, quote, G-O-D to the speaker. Yeah, to the host here at LA. Redefining word meanings would be an awesome trick to pass a lie detector.
Matrix 4. I survived the hit and run. That's when I got run down. My second to last son was killed after the hit and run on me attempt failed in Canada. And that's when Joel Silver was in Canada doing Altered Carbon, and they were into Matrix 4. I survived the hit and run. They pulled all the merchandise off the shelves from Matrix 4 and said they're shutting it down indefinitely. And till later. And then Joel Silver left Altered Carbon just like he left Borderlands.
No, you see here, they started production on Matrix 4 in early 2020. And they had to stop production because of the COVID lockdowns. That's what happened with Matrix 4. It had nothing to do with Tom and them freaking out and having to pull all the merchandise. You know how fucking ridiculous this sounds? That they just full stopped everything because Tom was about to go out and get them, right? Joseph says, they sound like Scientology, taking the younger girl, turning girl away from dad and older brother. All they're missing is the buzzword language of Scientology, a, quote, suppressive person, end quote. Yeah, and I've heard that about Hulk Hogan. His last wife, Sky, was a practicing Scientologist before they got married. And look what happened. Estranged daughter, Brooke, and there's a lot more on Hulk Hogan. We'll cover that at a different time. Probably on Madness Hour again.
When I get forward. So he left Altered Carbon because they missed. And the finance minister for Justin Trudeau, prime minister at the time, said that it was the biggest boon for Canada, was that Altered Carbon. And they claimed the greatest concept, sci-fi concept ever, where they mocked it through their own judges and attorneys, saying it was mundane. My concept of the rich in the future have immortality, the poor use as pawns. They said it was mundane. Old stock, old stuff. Now, Joel Silver with Altered Carbon claims that it's the greatest sci-fi concept ever. What they did was they hired a failed writer out of USC, where Sophia Stewart came from. They go to
really?
USC.
And
So
she's
she
a paralegal.
she failed. Yeah. So they brought this Greek lady out of USC who was on many projects with Joel Silver and gave her my work for Altered.
Yeah, Lerny, you mentioned a good thing here. Lerny says men are better at seeing other men's BS, and women are better at seeing other women's BS. That's why I made the comment I said before. That's why Tom is here talking to strictly women. Because he knows they're not going to call him out for his bullshit. They're going to go along with it because it feels and sounds like he's telling the truth. On first observation. He's very convincing. But he's a liar. I'm living proof of that. He compares me to his estranged sister now. Where he claimed that she was doing all sorts of things. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this bitch up here, Penny, if she was pretending under anonymous phone numbers and accounts, pretending to be me and just saying bad shit about him, pretending to be me. I'm sure there were people doing that. Because it makes no sense other than the fact that he knew I was wisening up to his grift and he had to cut ties with me. Because there's nothing else that explains what he did here. 22 interviews. 2.5 years of speaking with this motherfucker. Joseph says, all that moving state to state to state to Canada, who's got that kind of money? Exactly. Except a person being moved by a bigger puppeteer, being funded and moved to play his part over and over. What an excellent explanation, Joseph. He grew up in Pennsylvania. Then he was living in Virginia. Then for some reason, he went to Canada. Then he went to Hawaii, to Maui. And he was a stage play director over there. And we already mentioned about how The Immortals comes off as a stage play of the few pages that we've read behind the scenes. And then somehow he made it to Texas after Hawaii or Canada. And not only one location in Texas, he's lived in 2 locations in Texas now. And the new place, the house was barely built. He had no pictures on the walls. He talks about his sons and everything. People he loves aren't even up in picture frames on the walls. He's from the generation where you would do this sort of thing. And there are no photographs up of his loved ones. And I can vouch for that because I was in his house. I was sleeping in this room where he's sitting here. You see this? There's a bed to the left side of the video frame here. This is where I set up shop for 2.5 weeks with the intention of doing a documentary, but he wanted to make it all about a book by the time I got there. Always baiting and switching.
Hard to finally use up the stories he said he wanted to do. And what's interesting is her claim to fame in Albert Harbin is full frontal male nudity. That's a slap in my face. That's not what my screenplay's about. And that's not what's going to lift it in generations to come for God's glory. But that's what they turned it into, praising her for that. That's just like drooling idiots that, like the Wachowskis, what they did with mine.
I just want to clarify one thing again. I did this last week. I showed a short that I produced here. But we're going to show it again. Yeah, I have everything up from the... Alright, give me a second. Just watch this. Yeah, I have everything up from the time that I first had him on until the day he decided to drop me. And I've been continuing to put out content throughout all of this. We've covered interviews he's done after the fallout, after his meltdown with me, where he makes fun of my appearance because he has no, he has nothing, he has absolutely nothing.
I'm in danger of being ridiculed by a evil snowman.
Oh my god!
I mean, that hat, the hat is nowhere else except on Burl Eyes. Facial fur. That's what I'm dealing with. It's like,
they're part of the Nephilim clown bloodline.
He can't do anything. All he can do is make fun of me and how I look. That's it. He can't argue any talking points because he's a piece of shit.
It's incredible. It's like, yeah. I mean, that's a nobody player. And we call them anonymouses because they don't want to be revealed. You got the intelligent people and the non-intelligent people. The people that can make it on their own merits, A-list, and D players that can't make it on their list.
So there's what he thinks of me. I just wanted to reiterate that. And he hasn't talked about me since, by the way. So I do think I'm bringing up some very valid points that he does not want addressed. So he has stopped calling attention to it. The only reason he was so brazen about it there back in April is because he thought that I would just give up doing this sort of thing. I'm now 15 episodes into this series of calling this motherfucker out. And I'm not going to stop anytime soon.
Sticking all my personal information, high school birthday, dad's name, fiance's birthday again, in that first graphic, which I was tying in with the deposition. There's so much to this, and there's so much important elements that need to come together. Now they're counting on the audiences not to be smart, or get bored, or not be interested. They say, no one's going to care. That's the quote they gave me. No one's going to care. No one's going to look at the evidence. So if there's smart people out there, we need your help.
Yes.
We need you to get this with glory of God. If you're smart and you believe in God, that's what this was written for. It was written to bring together you, a remnant. And that's why they call Trinity, Trinity, not just because there's 3 love interests, because no passion's taking out on this. That's what God gave me. That's why I'm here on this earth, to do this. But that's not the only thing. Neuralink, Surrey, iPad.
See, he even says it right there. Truth is in the details. He says this is what he's on the earth for, to do this. To go on fucking rando podcasts and give spaz answers to a lot of shit with no details. He's all about the hook. All about the hook. It's just hooking you in, hooking you in, hooking you in, hooking you in. And if you manage to unhook yourself, like I have, you can see through all the bullshit.
And that's why they call Trinity, Trinity, not just because there's 3 love interests, because no, the passion's taking out on this. That's what God gave me. That's why I'm here on this earth, to do this. But that's not the only thing. Neuralink, Surrey, iPad, Windows. I pitched Windows in 1980 to my professors at Millersville University when I wanted to go to Villanova, but my dad and my brother said, no, you're not IP material. Yes, I was. I was smarter than them.
You hear this bullshit? He pitched Windows to his university professor, and Bill Gates stole it. He's been doing this grift since the 80s. I have to pull that one from before 2020 up. I'm going to dig it out eventually and show everybody here. He had long hair, like greasy long hair. I'll try to find that one because that was the earliest I could find. Now he talks about people striking all of his interviews. Think about what he did with me. And think about the anonymous email I got from possibly him asking to purchase all my interviews so that I would take them down. It's because he doesn't want people finding this content here. Whoever that was. We're under the suspicion that it was actually Tom doing that. But who knows? Who really knows? I can't confirm. I cannot confirm that. But I can confirm that somebody emailed me asking for me to take all the videos down, for me to give them to them for a sum of money, and that if I didn't do it, that they would take me to court over it. Sound familiar? Sounds like Tom, doesn't it? That's why we're speculating that Tom is the one trying to get me to take down my older videos of him hosting him. Just like all these other hosts have taken down their videos of Tom. It's different here. None of them's coming down.
It's a genius. But he sent me to Millersville where I didn't want to be. So I didn't attend the computer classes in 1980, but I went forward at the end just to give them an idea. And I pitched Windows as Windows. And they gave it to Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and they fought over it ever since. Windows led to Matrix, The Immortals, led to Surrey, iPad, Neuralink. Why did one gentleman on this planet be given all of its tech for...
Yeah, it's a good question, Tom. Why would you be the one person to come up with Windows, Neuralink, the Matrix script, and then all these other 100+ films you say used your one script? Tell me more. You won't. He'll just jump back on the crazy train talking about other shit. Yeah, Veronica said, I'm from the Nephilim clown bloodline. That's how fucking childish these people are.
And they gave it to Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and they fought over it ever since. Windows led to Matrix, The Immortals, led to Surrey, iPad, Neuralink. Why did one gentleman on this planet be given all of its tech for a world from God? And I'll say from God because I was looking to gather a remnant together. That I would do my work faithfully. And now here we are coming. It's not about ego, where they think it's all about ego and power. It's about doing our part together.
That's all this is about, Tom. It's about your ego. That's why you're on this show instead of getting a court case together. You just love talking about yourself. This isn't propelling your case whatsoever. All you're doing is fooling new viewers, which hopefully they'll find my channel and put a rest to this bullshit.
So what? This man got Windows. This man got Neuralink. This man got Enhanced Ghost Program. This man got Surrey, iPad, all of it. Because he was faithful and because he has a heart of compassion. If you want to succeed, Jesus says, be a servant to all.
Yeah, and to be clear, you were offered power and wealth, and you turned it down. because you were exposing them, and they wanted to entrap you, right?
That's right. Now I'm going to add some.
But he's lived in 6 different locations over the course of 30 years. Explain that one to me. Yeah, Lerny, he says he pitched Windows to his university professor at Pennsylvania. I'll go back again.
Neuralink, why did one jump forward at the end just to give them an idea? And I pitched Windows as Windows. And they gave it to Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and they fought over it ever since. Windows led to Matrix, the Immortals, led to Siri, iPad, Neuralink. Why did one gentleman on this planet be given all this tech for a world from God? And I'll say from God, because I'm for that. Because I've been looking to gather a remnant together. That I would do my work faithfully. And now here we are coming. It's not about ego, where they think it's all about ego and power. It's about doing our part together. So what? This man got Windows.
What about my part, Tom? You thought it wasn't worth it anymore in October, huh? It's probably going to end up being the biggest mistake of your whole grift here, is cutting me out the way that you did. See, it's not that you did it. It's the way that you did it. After I gave you all of my time for free, and I got you into the search results on Google, you still type in Tom Althouse interview on Google, my interview pops up. The very first one. It still gets hits. We were getting tons of hits on the shorts yesterday. So I put up a new short from Let's Talk About It. I had people that subbed to my channel because of the old shorts supporting Tom, and then unsubscribe when I posted the new short calling Tom out. So it's doing its job. I'm not here to collect people to fool them like Tom is. I want you guys here because you are seeking the truth just like I am. And I brought Tom onto this channel because I thought he was trustworthy. I had a lapse in judgment with that. For 2.5 years I had him on this channel. He sounded very convincing. But the moment he decided that we should move our separate ways because I called out this bitch up in the top left corner for what she is, he didn't like it. He tried to repackage it and say I was taking all of his friends away. You think I have that much power, dude? And then he talks about having an ego, that this isn't about ego. Yes, it's all about ego with Tom here. Joseph says, I would absolutely believe that a divinely inspired piece of work has become bastardized into 100 or hundreds of parts that were spun into gold for studios, but damn it, just publish it then. And then, yeah, the 2 matching backgrounds. Blizzards. I have no clue who this Joan Renee bitch is. Honestly, I have no clue who she is. She's probably a nice lady. And then Jessica, another naive person that just got caught up in the bullshit. What else am I to say? Look, she's trying to understand all this. And there's going to be a point for her where she just drops out of this too. Unfortunately. Now, I've found on Rumble, I've had people comment on my videos on Rumble. So you keep these up for perpetuity? I said yes. Because all these other hosts that Tom has cut out, they've pulled all their videos down because they don't want to associate with Tom anymore. But the goal here is to keep all of my interviews up that I had with him. To show the progress of what he does. Where he bullshits, then cuts the cord, and then starts talking bad about the person that hosted them. And again, I'm not sponsored by anything other than the viewers here. I don't have any products I'm pushing. I'm seeking the truth, and here I'm showing you what this asshole is saying, and I'm pointing out what lies that he's conjuring and what the truth actually is. There's been multiple times on this stream alone where he's said things that are not true, and we've corrected the record.
Because I'm looking to gather a remnant together. That I would do my work faithfully. And now here we are coming. It's not about ego, where they think it's all about ego and power. It's about doing our part together. So what? This man got Windows. This man got Neuralink. This man got enhanced Ghost program. This man got Surrey, iPad, all of it, because he was faithful and because he has a heart of compassion. If you want to succeed, Jesus says, be a servant to all.
Yeah, and to be clear, you were offered power and wealth, and you turned it down.
I just want to show this because I posted last week's show yesterday. And this was a comment that I got on it. Is anyone else just discovering this? Confused as hell? I'm glad that people are just discovering Tom and then finding my Let's Talks. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. There was another comment screenshot that I wanted to show, but I'm not sure if I have it here. Someone said they had hosted Tom for quite a while. Let me see if I have it. Ah, yes. We're going to look at this as well. This was on TikTok. And this was from the 14th. Check this out. Look at what this bottom comment says. It says, I had a fallout with Tom too. He wanted to be a co-host of my show. And this is on TikTok. I looked this guy up. He actually had somebody else from the Veronica show. The guy that we were saying that the guy needs to get the fuck out of there. The bald guy. Not Jaco. The guy that was up on the top right corner. He was a guest on this What the Frick Live. But this channel here had 2 interviews with Tom, and then that's it. There's no more. And apparently there were more up, but their channel got struck or whatever. So he had more than 2 interviews, but 2 are the only. There's only 2 that are up, and I do intend to cover those here on this series. I want to go back and look at all of these other interviews this motherfucker's done, and compare what he has been saying to what he's saying now. Joseph says, I think Tom is in their palm. Zen says, I think they all 3 have the innocent girl in the palm of their hands. Joseph says, I think you, Steven, were getting too far too fast with the whole Tom case. Yep. I think so too. I think I was gaining so much ground where I had started. I figured out Penny. He didn't like that I figured Penny out. He doesn't want to believe that she's an agent working for evil. This bitch right here. She tried killing my friend.
Because you were exposing them, and they wanted to entrap you, right?
That's right. Now, I'm going to ask, with that, following that, Joan, I'm going to ask the audience, how many people have an inkling thinking this man has some ego involved, or this man before you is looking for self-gain?
Because you're on this fucking show claiming about you came up with all these ideas and you're the best shit since sliced bread. That's why, Tom. That's why people say that you have a giant fucking ego and you're feeding into it day in and day out. And you're asking people to donate $3,750 a month to you on your fundraiser. For what? Well, who the fuck knows? It's probably to pay your bills. Because you can't fucking work. Because of your condition. Because you'll have a breakdown washing a dish because it'll remind you of something from your court case, right?
That's what they're ingraining in you to think. Mm-hmm. You've got to break that hold and realize there's those of us that don't have that at all, that it's gone. The ego isn't there. That our whole thing, the reason we last for 33 years, this particular case, is because of compassion. Let's start celebrating the power the other side doesn't have. Let's start implementing that power.
He doesn't have compassion. If he had compassion, he would still be talking with me. He wouldn't have cut me out the way that he did. He's a narcissist. And because he's a narcissist, he has no feelings. So he cannot have compassion. And he has all the ego in the world. Look at all of these shows he's gone on. He cannot help himself from feeding his own ego. Look at me, I wrote The Matrix. Shut the fuck up already. You did not write The Matrix. You wrote The Immortals, which reads like a stage play that has no names of Neo, Thomas Anderson, Trinity, Morpheus, Agent Smith, has none of those character names in The Immortals. You vile asshole.
That God gave us. Let's bring together what causes us to elevate as a society, as a race, as a species. Because we're all one race when it comes down to it. We all came out of Africa.
And I also, what would they do if trying to break away and do the right thing?
That was something that, oh God. I think one of the comments said something about that. He says on here just now that we all came out of Africa. See this bullshit?
Elevate as a society, as a race, as a species. Because we're all one race when it comes down to it. We all came out of Africa.
And I also, what would they do if trying to break away and do the right thing? They killed 2 of your sons. And I think anyone who lost 2 of their children would,
Right.
it doesn't matter anymore.
And my daughter.
Gloves are off and we're going for it. And I think that this was a mistake that they made with you, is that they were trying to shut you down. And instead, I mean, when you go that far, and Jessica, you're a mom, yourself, you turn into a huge grizzly bear if someone touched your children.
Yeah.
No, that's such an important point because the tough part of this was I had to learn.
No. He was estranged from his 2 sons. One of them died in a snowplow accident. One of them drowned in a pool. He had no contact with them when they passed away. In fact, I would go out on a limb and say he wasn't even invited to the funerals because of his estranged relationship. Joseph says, providing a continuance of the evidence, I think that's worthwhile. He also says, I think you, Stephen, have a nose for finding topics that lack mysteries, topics that ought to have endings or explanations. Both the Bermuda Triangle and Tom Althouse have that. Thank you, Joseph. I have in my description here on this channel and all my other channels, I'm a filmmaker seeking truth in film and politics. I've been involved with being a filmmaker for most of my life. Say 22 years. I'm 36. Does that really matter? He used to say, oh, you're one of the smart ones, Steven. And then I started watching other shows where he's like, finally I get to talk to smart people. He's saying this to all the hosts. Anyone who would take him. Someone with 100 subscribers, or my channel, 1,000 something at the time. And really, he's only responsible for a few hundred subs to my channel. Most of my subs came from the board meeting videos and then the stuff that I did on Beyond the Box and Spiritual Encrypted Encounters with Abe Seas. But I dig into things that I want answers to. So thank you for saying that, Joseph. Like, there's a lot of material on the Bermuda Triangle. I'm reading this author, G&J Kassar. He has like 5 or 6 books. I got 5 of them. That's the first one. I'm reading through them all. I'm reading through them all on this channel so that we can come to our own conclusions here with backed evidence. And here with Tom, we're seeing what he's doing. He's running a grift. He's asking for money for a court case that he has not even started yet. 3 years ago, he was saying he's still looking for an attorney. What the fuck is taking him so long? Is it because they smell the bullshit from a mile away? Oh, Tom Althouse, I don't want to deal with that motherfucker. It's probably what these attorneys are saying if he approached any at all. You'd think some would have approached him by now, getting on these channels that have tens of thousands of followers. No. He's still stuck right where he wants to be, at the precipice of Act 2, prior to getting into Act 3. He's right at the climax. He says, we're right there. We're right there. That's where he's been. It's right there. We're so close. He'll never get to the finish line. He trips himself before crossing it. The people helping him, he cuts off. Like me. For those of you that are new watching this, I hope you understand that. I was helping this guy for multiple years. There's a reason why I've been doing this for the past 4 months, talking about this on Let's Talk About It. And it's only 4 months I've been openly speaking out about this. He told me in honor of his 2 dead sons that we don't pursue this any further. You could see that on part 23, the last interview that he ditched out on me on. I went on to a regular generic live stream that Saturday, and then he ended up watching that. He said he had other shit to do. That other shit, I guess, included spying on what I was live streaming about. So he had time to go and do an interview with me, but he wanted to be a little bitch about it. So then I stopped that stream and I started part 23 without Tom Althouse. And I went through all the text messages and emails that he sent me that morning. In real time, we dissected that shit. And then when I started this Let's Talk series in April, he jumps onto Veronica's show and starts, you see him holding up the laptop with my thumbnail of Let's Talk About It, episode 3. So he's watched parts of that. He's watched this show. He knows what I'm doing here. Calling his ass out. He can come on anytime. He won't do it. Zenray says, I'd go out on a limb and say they were sacrifices, his sons. That's what it's sure seeming like. Joseph says, I agree. I think Jessica is genuine and genuinely trying to understand. I don't feel anything against Jessica. Yeah, she's here brand new, just trying to understand what's actually going on here. Learning says, proper ass kisser when it's convenient. Again, classic bullshitter. Yep. Alright, let's finish this up. We got 12 minutes left.
You know, and Jessica, you're a mom. You know yourself. You turn into a huge grizzly bear if someone touched your children.
Yeah.
No, that's such an important point because the tough part of this was I had to learn complete compassion and humility. So that's why I'm very defensive of it.
He has no compassion and no humility. If he did, he'd talk about all the hosts that he cut ties with. Oh yeah, you know, I was on this show for so long, and then explain what happened. No, he's not going to talk about any of that. He's talking about shit from 11 years ago.
We're very strong on this point, but I want people to see the compassion and the humility, because that's going to further us forward. That's going to break the other side. If you get it, if you see it, if you...
The lawyer that was assigned to me by Warner Brothers ripped my script page out and stuffed it in my son's art box. Oh, my heart. He wants to pull on your heartstrings. And then that makes you forget about the other elements of the grift that's happening. He doesn't care about his son's artwork. He throws that in there to make you feel sympathy for him. He was estranged from his 2 sons. That's why he wasn't present or around when they had their untimely demise. And if Zenray is correct, that it was a sacrifice on his behalf, we've heard of other cases just like that. The whole mystery around Keanu Reeves' pregnant girlfriend having a similar thing where the brakes go out and she crashes into the front of a 3-flat, killing both of them. And look at how successful Keanu ended up being. Now Tom is getting invited to these conventions with reputable people mixed in with bullshit artists. He found his way in. He was telling me when I was visiting him That's what he wants to do. He wants to turn this into a traveling road show. That should have been a red flag for me, but I was right there in the trenches, in his fucking house. Lerny says, he's always, quote, right there, end quote. Yep. Joseph says, yes, the son's sacrifices, and then perhaps some buyer's remorse at not getting the boost he thought he was paying for. Yeah. Well, you have to question, why in 2014 was he willing to settle for $90,000 to not get rights, name, credit, or anything, just to drop the case with Warner Brothers? I think it's because Warner Brothers countersued him and then racked up a bunch of debt on his behalf. He said it in the deposition. He wants to settle and go their separate ways. Why the fuck is he still talking about it then?
To learn complete compassion and humility. So that's why I'm very defensive or very strong on this point, that I want people to see the compassion and the humility, because that's going to further us forward. That's going to break the other side. If you get it, if you see it, if you understand that that's what I embody, and others like us, that we're called to do that. That's the key to upsetting their cart. But the thing is, I was called to forgive them.
He accepts no responsibility. He doesn't even claim ownership over the script he wrote. He said that God helped him write it. Now, you could say that's some humble thing, or he was given a transcription from God, but like, that's not him writing it then. You could say that for every writer, that they get inspiration from God. But he's saying that it was like transmitted to him. Like his hand's moving and his brain's not functioning. And it's just God writing the script for him. That's the way that he explains it. You know, Zenray says Thomas is more of a cowardly lion than a grizzly bear. We're going to watch the stream that he dipped out on while I was in Texas on Brenda's Beyond the Box channel, and he had me tag in for his spot in the panel. We're going to watch that clip after this. Lerny says he had it so bad and is so sacrificial and selfless. Again, classic. Lerny also says proclaiming yourself as virtuous is another red flag. Lerny says, I'm sounding like a broken record with all the things that make tomfoolery, Althouse, a bullshitter. Well, it needs to be reiterated, because that's all he's doing is reiterating these points. Joseph says thumb, fingers. I'm going to have to look at that again.
They were trying to shut you down, and instead, I mean, when you go that far, you know, and Jessica, you're a mom, you know yourself, you turn into a huge grizzly bear if someone touched your children.
Yeah.
No, that's such an important point, because the tough part of this was I had to learn complete compassion and humility. So that's why I'm very defensive or very strong.
Sorry, trying to
grizzly
pause.
bear if someone touched your children.
Yeah.
No, that's such an important point, because the tough part of this was I had to learn complete compassion and humility. So that's why I'm very defensive or very strong.
Yeah, that looks really weird, doesn't it? He's a really long thumb. Not the hands of a gardener, I'll tell you that much.
Wrong on this point, that I want people to see the compassion and the humility, because that's going to further us forward. That's what's going to break the other side. If you get it, if you see it, if you understand that that's what I embody, and others like us, that we're called to do that. That's the key to upsetting their cart. But the thing is, I was called to forgive them. I was called to not take vengeance. They did it through the mouth.
What are you doing now? You're getting vengeance now, Tom. That's why you're on this fucking show. You're seeking out vengeance. What a fucking hypocrite.
See it, if you understand that that's what I embody, and others like us, that we're called to do that. That's the key to upsetting their cart. But the thing is, I was called to forgive them. I was called to not take vengeance.
If you forgave them, Tom, you wouldn't be talking shit about them on some rando podcast. All right?
Did it through the mouth of my last son, who said, Dad, if anything happens to me, from them, don't seek vengeance. Just finish the job. So,
He's never going to finish the job. All he's doing is seeking vengeance. He's speaking very ill of everyone involved in this whole process, including previous hosts that had him on their channels.
Wow, that's when you really know that he's talking to you directly, John. Tom, sorry. Oh, I said John.
and do we feel? Yeah,
It's okay, Jessica.
from them. Don't seek vengeance. Just finish the job. So,
Wow, that's when you really know that he's talking to you directly, John. Tom, sorry. Oh, I said John.
and do we feel? Yeah. Do I apologize to the mail for crying on the air? No.
No, he's never apologized.
We're gonna be saved. We're gonna make it.
Wow. All right, so here's another acting technique of his. So he put his hands up and then started the process of fake crying. This is very
To
interesting.
not take vengeance. They did it through the mouth of my last son, who said, Dad, if anything happens to me, from them, don't seek vengeance. Just finish the job. So,
Wow, that's when you really know that he's talking to you directly, John. Tom, sorry. Oh, I said John.
and do we feel? Yeah. Do I apologize to the mail for crying on the air? No.
No, he's never apologized.
We're gonna be saved. We're gonna make it.
Where are the tears?
And if anybody mocks us that are crying out of compassion and humility, you need to find another planet first, because vengeance will come upon you. It won't be from us.
Where are the tears? Where are the tears? You're making a fool of yourself, Tom.
It'll be from the Father who wrote this for His glory, who had it for His glory. You do not want to mess with that book. You do not want to mess with that screenplay. You don't want to mess with what was written for His glory, because He is going to be very jealous about that. Because it's going to make what makes our humanity come together and give glory to Him and solve our ills and free our kids. So if you want to step on the other side of this and start mocking and things like that, which has been the norm, and they've been making it, popular to do so, be very aware.
Who's been making it popular to mock you, Tom? Are you talking about me? Who else is doing this right now? This is his indirect way of throwing shade at me. You see this? Because who the fuck else is talking ill of him?
Who had it for His glory. You do not want to mess with that book. You do not want to mess with that screenplay. You don't want to mess with what was written for His glory, because He is going to be very jealous about that. Because it's going to make what makes our humanity come together.
So he's talking about a jealous God? That's not Heavenly Father Creator. Heavenly Father Creator is not a jealous God. The God is jealous. Satan is jealous. See how this all falls apart?
Who had it for His glory. You do not want to mess with that book. You do not want to mess with that screenplay. You don't want to mess with what was written for His glory, because He is going to be very jealous about that. Because it's going to make what makes our humanity come together and give glory to Him and solve our ills and free our kids. So if you want to step on the other side of this and start mocking and things like that.
Where did his crying go? Did anybody see a tear form? This is all a performance. He did not just cry.
Which has been the norm, and they've been making it, popular to do so. Be very aware. It's all changing now. Our ills and free our kids. So if you want to step on the other side of this and start mocking and things like that, which has been the norm, and they've been making it, popular to do so.
It's been the norm, and they've been making it popular to do so. Who's doing that? Who are you talking about, Tom?
Be very aware. It's all changing now. And as you were hinting, Penny, it's going to be very hard to switch up and switch sides. In the final hour. We are in end times. Everyone always asks me, what page are we on in the screenplay? Well, we're right back here. We're right back in there. We're right here. What happens in the end of the screenplay?
Oh, you knew exactly what page to show, right? Just a random opening to a random fucking page. It's all he ever does with that screenplay.
Questions. And they think they're going to outwit him. God allows. We're right back here.
Look at this.
We're right back in the back. We're right here. What happens in the end of the screenplay?
Shows nothing.
And they think they're going to outwit him. God allows man and woman to think they could outwit him, and then outwits them. I give you what He gave me.
Wow, Tom. This has been amazing again. I love your heart.
For acknowledging it too, because that's the hardest part of this whole journey, is being called a monster and being called that I'm going to kill my son, or I'm some evil person or a narcissist. They knew what to say.
Wow. Who's saying all that stuff? Who is saying that Tom is going to kill his last son? All right, let's check the chat here real quick. Lerny says, compassion and humility, and so forgiving. I know you're being sarcastic with that. Lerny also says, quote, it's going to bring us further, end quote. Translates to, it's better for me if you are such for my own agenda. Joseph says, oh, automatic writing, spirit writing, a human channeling a spirit that writes through them. Okay, well, fine. But you thought you could just trust the studios? You didn't copyright? Yeah, exactly. Lerny says, and another appeal to emotion. And Joseph says, right, never finish the job. Stretch. That he's never going to finish the job. This is it for him. This is it. Him going and saying he's almost there, that we're going to go to court. He's been to court 3 fucking times. He's lost all of them. He got put $90K in debt. Yet he's able to move 6 times. Tell me that. Explain that one to me. And again, who is saying that he is going to kill his last remaining son just to further his story along? This story that he's bullshitting to everybody that he is the one that came up with the idea for the Matrix. Lerny says, now he can speak for God? Interesting. Joseph says, tears, quote, bravely held back, end quote. Waverly voice.
Love your heart.
Mm-hmm. For acknowledging it too. Because that's the hardest part of this whole journey, is being called a monster and being called that I'm going to kill my son or I'm some evil person or narcissist. They knew what to say.
Yes.
If you have complete compassion and humility, that's the
He's talking about me. I called him a narcissist. No one else has said that he's a narcissist, have they? Unless I haven't done my own due diligence and found other people who are saying the same things I'm saying here. That this guy's a bullshit artist. And I called him out being a narcissist. So that's what he's referring to. Is this Let's Talk show. That's his roundabout way of saying, oh, the enemy is saying all these bad things and they've been given permission to do so. I'm not working for anybody, motherfucker. This is my own channel. I'm putting stuff out that I want to. I'm doing this on my own free time. I'm here every Sunday. Lerny says, now he can speak for God? Interesting. Joseph, I already read that one. Lerny says, quote, and now if you're against what I'm doing, you are bad, end quote. Yeah, pretty much. That's what he's saying.
We're right back in the back. We're right here. What happens in the end of the screenplay?
Let's listen to him again.
Press returns. And they think they're going to outwit him. God allows man and woman to think they could outwit him, and then outwits them. I'll give you what he gave me.
Wow, Tom. This has been amazing again. Mm-hmm. I love your heart.
Mm-hmm. For acknowledging it too. Because that's the hardest part of this whole journey, is being called a monster and being called that I'm going to kill my son or I'm some evil person or a narcissist. They knew what to say.
Yes.
If you have complete compassion and humility, that's the worst thing you can say. Because the temptation for humanity, for those of us psychologically, is it hurts so much when we're the opposite of what they claim. If we weren't the opposite, it wouldn't hurt. So it's a very clever move by the agencies in the past. And what they do is they try to push you to become what they're pushing and claiming.
Yes.
Because it won't hurt so much. But I refuse to become what they're claiming. I'd rather take the pain and be the good side. And
and I think it's time that the labels are getting tiresome.
Yeah.
Where they're disqualifying people and objectifying them by calling them racist or greedy or opportunist or whatever. The labels are getting tiring, and people are having to wake up and say, look, if you're using any of those labels in order to justify your point, you're so off the target. Conversation over. It's you're not having a conversation. You're being bitter and mean.
Well, I would say also this. You just made me think of it, Joan. We're all African American. We're all African American in this country. We all come from the same family. We do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and wasn't it interesting that might create anger from certain people that you would make that claim? Well, genetically, according to our genomes and everything else, we are. I'm not going to lie. So we all really are one race in the end.
Yes.
What the sun did to us and different climates did. So what? We all are from one race.
Yes.
And we cover MK Ultra a lot. And when you use these labels and then you attach a negative connotation to them, and then you train people to absorb that, and without even thinking about it, it becomes a part of their conversation, and it shuts down your intellect.
Exactly.
You're no longer thinking if you're doing that.
Well, Joe, look at that. What they do is they have it fighting each other. They put an African-American woman who failed at everything she did and was hired to put curses on people in Manhattan, never wrote a screenplay, to make the claim to divide us further. They knew that I supported the African-American community. And so one of my friends, like Nigeria, when I played soccer and international soccer, I was on the West Indies soccer team. So I was the token white guy. So it's like, at Colonial Williamsburg, I was part of the African-American department and played mulatto. I played African-American. So for them to put an African-American woman against me, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, that is the divisive mechanism of the satanic and demonic leftist agenda. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Thomas Althouse, thank you so very much for always telling the truth and being the compassionate and loving person that you are. And where can people find you?
What a load of bullshit.
TomAlthouse.com. I'm glad it hasn't been struck. And Jen Marie's doing a brilliant job on it.
Yeah, guess what? I gave him the idea to do TomAlthouse.com. He said it was too... It was like too self-referencing. He didn't want to use his name as a website. This is when I was at his house in April of 2024. And then he goes and moves on to actually using that. Probably because Jen brought it up too. But because I brought it up, he said no. But then when Jen brought it up, he was probably like, oh, amazing idea. I've never heard that before. Let's use my name. No, I was sitting there making a page on my website for him. I'm like, okay, I bought TomAlthouseStudio.com. It redirects to my website with its own page, and we could start building that out. That never panned out. Because after I left, then he was starting to just drop all communication. He wouldn't follow up on the book with me. He wouldn't do any of that shit. He did a pre-recorded interview with me that next month, and then he started doing the pussyfooting around with mixing the dates up and not saying like, oh, I didn't schedule with him. And then he did that through September into October, and then finally that last time he was like, oh, you made me wait 5 minutes, so we're done. Like, fuck you, you son of a bitch, you piece of shit. Let's read the comments here. Joseph Smith says, I think Tom would be an excellent acting coach, speech writer or speech coach, performing lines to an actor about how to hit the verbal marks and go from tears to rage to defeat to hope. Yeah. Well, he was a stage director in Maui, so he does have that background. Joseph also says Munster. He said Munster. Yeah, that's him just glossing over his speech. Hey, been YouTubing. Good to see you here.
And she keeps posting things immediately on it. So you'll see, I think she has that deposition tape on there, if anyone wants to hear it.
Yeah, there's one deposition tape they have up, but the second one that Tom gave me is not up on his website. It's only been broadcast here on Let's Talk About It, episode 11. Go back and listen to it. I aired it in its entirety, and we broke that down as well. And we learned by the end of it that he walked out of his own deposition. They didn't say that the time was up like he's claiming here in this video from last Monday. He told them that their time was up, that he hit his 7 hours allotted mark. And so then he got up and left, and then the questioning attorney's like, we want it on the record that this guy's fucking leaving. And he's like, oh, why do you need to have it on the record? Fine, I'm in the right. I could leave if I want to. I was here for the 7 hours. And then he gets on the phone and talks to somebody, which tells me that they didn't fucking swap tapes at all. He walked in there with his tape recorder. We hear him enter the courthouse. We hear him leave the courthouse. And then he's crossing the street, talking on the phone still, telling the person on the other line that all they were doing was yelling and screaming at him, which was not true. And then he's like, oh, hold on a second. And then there's fidgets, and then the recording stops. Because he remembered that it was still recording in his pocket. He recorded that deposition himself. And that deposition tape, that second one with Sohal, is not on his website. It's only on this Let's Talk. And it'll be up on my website when all of the videos and everything, when I publish the work I've been doing on that the past 2 weeks. Lerny says, Tom refuses to be a narcissist, he says. No, that's all he is a narcissist. A narcissist will say that they're not a narcissist. They will deny up and down. They will say that they have all the humility in the world and how everybody's out to get them and that everybody's done so many bad things to them and that's why they do the things they do. No, this motherfucker goes on to these shows and all he does is badmouth everyone and their mother. He badmouths the mother of his own remaining son.
Jim.
In front of the son, mind you. Keep that in mind. Think about what Aiden thinks about all this shit that Tom's saying here. Because he says it in his own house. He said it to me in the kitchen while Aiden was upstairs. You think he wasn't listening in? He heard what Tom has to say about his mom. Aiden's mom.
And unfortunately, we are out of time. Thomas Althouse, thank you so very much for always telling the truth and being the compassionate and loving person that you are. And where can people find you?
TomAlthouse.com. I'm glad it hasn't been struck. And Jen Marie's doing a brilliant job on it. And she keeps posting things.
The only reason his website will get scrubbed from this point forward is if Jen finally learns what's really going on with Tom and what grift he's running here. And she'll pull the website down. That's the only way that website's going to go. And I think that's what happened previously. He had somebody else running his older website. And then they pulled it down. Or he pulled it down himself for all we fucking know. Because that was the situation when he got introduced on my platform here. Is that his website got struck. And then it took him 2.5 years to build it. I offered to help build him his own website again. He refused the help. I offered to do the documentary. I flew out to his house with my film equipment. When I got there, he said, let's not do the documentary. Then he started talking on the phone with this Jen chick who now is running his new website. Just give it time. Give it time. And Jen will no longer be in the picture. She'll never be mentioned again, just like me. You'll see. Time will tell all.
Is immediately on it. So you'll see, I think she has that deposition tape on there, if anyone wants to hear it.
One of two that are known. There's one on there. I wanted to cover it on this show. We'll get to it at some point. That first deposition tape, I think, it paints him in a better light than what the second one does. Because in the second one, he walks out of the fucking deposition. He selectively is showing evidence. Just making sure that he's not painted in a bad light whatsoever. He's human. He has flaws. He doesn't accept them. Otherwise, he would be here saying, I made a mistake. I should have hired my own lawyer. I made a mistake marrying this prostitute. I didn't do the research beforehand. It must be hell for my son, Aiden. No, he doesn't say any of that shit. And that's how you know he's a lying narcissist.
Nice.
Come on, if you do listen to the end of that, watch the tricks I just talked about. Listen to the objections on there. If you have a chance to go through it, listen to it. And listen to the Lenny Coco tape, too, where he admits that episode, there, and the emotions involved in that. But those are the proofs that are going to kill it.
So there's a Lenny Coco tape. It probably is up on the website. We'll listen to that, too, at some point. But in that one, he showed on Aquarius Rising Africa on Chantel's show, which he no longer talks to, by the way. He no longer is a guest on her show. He cut her off as well. He showed that tape on there, the audio tape, where he starts crying and go, oh, yeah, we got it. Oh, this is it. Like, he's weeping like that on the audio. Like, he got exactly what he wanted to, like, solidify his case. This was over 10 years ago. Where did it go? It got him nowhere. That's why he's on this fucking show with Penny L.A. Shepherd. He's not in court right now. He hasn't been in court for over 11 years. He always says he's just about that. No, he's not even on step one. He's just going on to these shows, talking bad about all these different people.
But when you listen to that deposition tape, keep in mind he gave the wrong tape recorder back. You'll hear the court reporter saying it's an honor to meet you, fascinated by the story. You'll see them blocking how we're going to get, they'll say about the code. You'll see how he says, stretch your legs and come with me and I got something.
So if that first deposition tape that he has on his website is the one that was the tape recorder swap, the second one that I showed here proves that it was in his pocket the whole time from the moment he walked into the building to the moment he walked out. But he doesn't talk about that one, does he? He doesn't talk about the deposition with Soho. Or he's like, I don't understand the question. I don't understand the question. Can you repeat that? I don't understand the question.
Report in my office where she forgot to work the copy machine, and where I say, which hurt me so much, they're saying you're dead now. Where I said, if this was within the packet, then that's an honest person not knowing what to do.
Right.
But keep in mind when you hear it, James Boyd and Norfolk submitted the final materials, and we received them with a full script.
Dang.
And the story treatment and everything else, and even the character breakdown and the music. So we got them. They got nothing. But thank you guys.
Thank you. Jessica Garza, where can people?
Oh, he's got them, but nothing's come of it, right? He's got them, but he's still going on to all these shows and talking all this bullshit.
Find you.
I can be found on X on Jessica OG 111 and on Agent X11 throughout the week, and then Trauma Triage on Wednesdays.
And
So Jessica's caught up in Penny's little grift as well. You see, Penny's getting upwards of $4,000 per month from donors in New York and California. At least that's how it was up until last July in 2024. She probably is getting more money now without disclosing it. But Jessica's all caught up in this shit. She still has a long way to learn the truth here.
Joan Renee, where can people find you?
First, thanks, Tom. It's always fascinating when you're on. So, and then you can find me here on Agent X11. You can find me on the Awake Nation Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, so both of these bitches are on 2 different shows with Penny. And look at her smiling like, oh yeah, I got him, yeah.
Trauma Triage now on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
And
At different time, too. 11 to 11:45.
Yeah.
That's Eastern.
And also on Joan Renee 27 on X. And those are posted there. Did I miss something?
Nope, you get it all. Okay. And you can find me on Agent X11. We are...
Now, I haven't contacted all of these people yet that we've shown on these different interviews. But what if we start contacting them? What are you going to do, Tom? What if I try telling them what happened? What are you going to do? You have no power here.
We're live every day on the David Zublik channel. And so this is going to post directly after I end the stream on the David Zublik channel. I will post it later on mine. And then you can also find me on the Awake Nation Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us live if you can. If you can't, then catch us in the replay. And then also I am on the Truth Be Told, Agent X11. It's on the Truth Be Told radio. And they do replays of us every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you again for joining us. And unfortunately, we are out of time. If you want to find me on X, you can find me under Shepherd Out. So we're out of time and we're out of here. Shepherd out.
Renee out.
Althouse out.
Garza out.
Goodbye for today.
Like good little
from
sheep.
Agent X11.
Like good little sheep. They all repeated what her call sign was. You hear that?
Hollywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily.
Oh, now she has a 3-minute outro. You know what? Let's just watch this without audio. And then we'll watch the next thing real quick. Zublik's also another player in all of this. He's actually the one that hosted everything. And then Heather Day, it looked like she was close to wisening up to everything, but then she's sucked back under this spell. It looks like the same with all of these other individuals. Oh yeah, look at that. Co-host. Co-host. Who the fuck's this guy? Co-host. Who's that guy? That looks like a shady motherfucker. Oh, another co-host. How many co-hosts do you have? Is this guy a co-host too? Another co-host. Wow. Good job, Penny. You're still pushing the grift. Unreal. Alright, so I did say I was going to show one more clip because of the way this all developed here. Where is it? Alright, we got it. here in my video folder for this show. So here, you'll see the connection that Penny L.A. Shepherd has with Brenda's Beyond the Box. Penny took over Brenda's show, essentially. And this was back in April of 2024. So you'll get to see the intro here. We'll play through this. But then what I want to show you from this is when Tom stepped away, and then when I took his literal seat because he was streaming in his house. And he's like, I can't listen to this guest anymore. He was talking about mafia hits and an innocent person died, and I can't listen anymore. So he had me jump in his spot. Okay?
Welcome to Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside. Beyond the Box. Our guests are insiders, now on the outside and the right side, dropping truth and nuclear intel bombs and breaking it down just for you. And now it's time to meet your hosts and co-hosts. Your hosts of Beyond the Box are Brenda Lankart and Suzanne Hott. Brenda Lankart is host of Beyond the Box and retired law enforcement. Joined by Suzanne Hott, host of Beyond the Box, Joel's Indoor Arena and Event Center, and White Horse Productions. They are joined by Tom Althouse, Brian Sang, and Penny L.A. Shepherd.
Hey!
Brian.
All three of them are no longer affiliated with Beyond the Box. They all left because of what happened between Penny and Brenda and Susie. When Penny fucked both of them over, both Susie and Brenda.
They are joined by Tom Althouse.
Oh, look at that. Tom Althouse, Brian Singh, and Penny L.A. Shepherd. Completely gone from them now. Because they dropped Brenda and Susie. And Penny tried to get this show completely taken off the internet. But thankfully, Brenda was able to save it. And now there's a new intro that I helped make. Because this is Penny talking over this. And Brenda just couldn't fucking stand listening to Penny's voice anymore. So this is probably one of the only times we'll be showing this.
Brian Sang and Penny L.A. Shepherd. Brian Sang, co-host Beyond the Box.
So real quick, this guy is he's the one that's helping Tom get into all these conventions. Okay, the UFO conventions. This guy is the one that's helping him. Just for
It's
context.
Full Disclosure Now movement. FullDisclosureMovement.org. Tom Althouse, co-host Beyond the Box, is the real author of The Matrix,
Again.
The Immortals, and
Again, another co-host of a show that he's on. Isn't that something? Co-host of Beyond the Box. Co-host of this and that. Co-host, as we saw here on the... on the other... the TikTok that I had, the comments. Let's bring that up. Co-host of Beyond the Box. Oh, what's this here? Someone commented on my short reel. Oh, look at that. What the Frick Live said I had a fallout with Tom too. He wanted to be co-host of my show. Why is Tom being a co-host on any of these shows? Why? He's a co-host on Penny's show that we just watched. He was a co-host of What the Frick Live. I had a fallout with Tom too, he says. I asked him to message me. He hasn't messaged back yet. But look at here. Beyond the Box. Another co-host. That Tom's a co-host on everywhere, isn't he? Let's look at the comments real quick. Lerny says, agreed, Steve. It's yet another narcissistic 101. Joseph says, Tom rejecting all the offers he made him is in line with him belonging only to the club of handlers, unable to accept too much from anyone outside the club. That sounds correct, doesn't it? Lerny says, the funniest thing about a narcissist, they want to appear good so badly, yet actually be somewhat reasonable is too much to ask. Good, I'm glad you're here, Brenda. We're going to see how I got introduced to Brenda's show here on Beyond the Box. This is the show where I got introduced to her show, and then I ended up on the show. You'll see this here. Yeah, Lerny says, let's watch Beyond the Box with Beyond the Box. Boxception. Yeah.
And The Matrix Redeemed. And Penny L.A. Shepherd, executive producer and co.
Oh, The Matrix Redeemed. That was something that Tom had up on IMDb. Like, that was another documentary where the people that made that, they're nowhere to be found. I can't access any information to reach out to them or anything. But there's an IMDb page up called The Matrix Redeemed, and that was a whole mini documentary on top, too, that went nowhere.
Host of David Zublick's Awake Nation, The Dark Outpost, Patriot's Perspective, and Beyond the Box. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
You see, I think Penny added all that in there to save her ass for the grift. The show is for entertainment purposes only. This isn't disclosure, it's all entertainment to her. That's how she saves her ass all the time.
Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Beyond the Box begins now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Box. Today is April 19th, 2024. And we have a guest tonight. His name is Jim Scott.
See, Brenda from Beyond the Box is in the chat right now, and she says that Penny picked the co-host, not Brenda. This was Brenda's show, and Penny took it over.
Former Marine Corps major, Virginia State Trooper, and he attempted...
Okay. Yeah, this guest is what Tom got set off
and
by.
Welcome back to Beyond the Box. Today is April 19th, 2024. And we have a guest tonight. His name is Jim Scott. He's former Marine Corps major, Virginia State Trooper, and he attempted to open the JFK files, which is very interesting to me. I just love it. But before we start tonight and bring everybody in, Susie and I have decided together that we're going to do a little something different. Everybody that comes on this show, that is involved in this show and watches this show in one way or another, has some form of being attacked because Satan is mean. So everybody that's been put in dark spaces, whether it's of their own doing or others, we want them to have a safe place here. So with that being said, I'm going to hand this over to Susie. Go for it, ma'am.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good.
You kind of froze. You froze. I don't know.
I did.
You're frozen in the screen on my... Yeah. Kind of weird.
Okay, we're going to move in. Or, you know, we'll let the co-hosts and guests all flow in, and then we'll jump to the part where Tom dips out.
I'm moving. Right. You're moving. And I'm
there.
Moving
You are.
out
now
there.
You're moving. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
You're moving now.
Okay. All right, Susie.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I had a bit of a traumatic day today.
Yeah, I heard. My gosh.
Yes, I was one of my little horses got bit in the ear by a big horse, and it took the end of her ear off.
Wow.
And it was quite traumatizing because he picked her up in the air. And the weird thing is the mother, Brenda, had an ear injury many years ago, and it kind of messed up the end of her ear. So it's kind of like the saying now, like mother like daughter. So now the baby has the same kind of ear issue. I'm like, what the heck?
All right, we're going to skip forward to the people being introduced here. All right.
Go ahead and start bringing everybody out. I'm going to bring in the host of Does the Most, Miss Penny L.A. Shepherd.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Box.
Yes. And then backstage.
Again, this is playing at 1x speed. So the last video we had at 1.5x just to get through it. I'm letting this play at normal speed because we're not going to watch the whole thing.
I also have our handsome and brilliant Tom Althouse.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look, and you can see me in the background.
Mr. DeMille.
We gotta get.
You could see me in the background here. Let me zoom this in here. Alright, we'll cover Penny's face here. But look, that's me in the background. That's me in the same room as Tom.
Get him a powder puff, brilliant.
Good evening, everyone,
Watch again.
and welcome to Beyond the Box.
Yes. And then backstage, I also have our handsome and brilliant Tom Althouse.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
We got to get him a powder puff.
Yeah. Makeup, hair. Okay.
You see what I'm doing back here? I'm working on the book. Those are all of our notepads that we had that I'm putting into different chapters. Because he told me to not do the fucking documentary anymore. So we're working on a book while I'm spending my time there. And that's me bending over working on the book stuff. And he wants me to get out of the room, so I'll be leaving there shortly.
Thank you. Coffee girl.
I want to say hello to Maria, Norman, and
That's
Norma,
me.
and Elizabeth and Brent. And thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy tonight. Penny, do you want to introduce Mr. Jim?
Well, Susie and I met Jim. I actually met Jim when an individual came on our show, Barbara Honiger. She wrote October Surprise. And she was also on a 911 commission. She worked in the White House under Reagan and Bush. And also, I think under Colby, Colby died in a canoe accident, which prompted my joke about the perfume, which is Canoe Canoe. And so when anyone gets in very deeply, I say, hey, Canoe Canoe. Because he could canoe and he ended up dead in a canoeing accident. That's not a boating accident. Anyway, so when Jim came on the show, he came on to talk with James Files, who is a very good friend of his. And James Files, as we know, we had Pamela on last week, is the shooter who was on the grassy knoll who killed JFK. He's written, she has ghostwritten many books for him. So Jim has helped put on some of the JFK, events that have occurred. And I went up due to Susie's prompting to interview James Foss this last November. And we actually...
You know what I'm doing in the background there? I'm setting up to photograph all of the Matrix scripts that have the Wachowskis' names on them that Tom gave me to photograph. So he knows what I'm doing back here.
Got an opportunity to meet Jim in person. And so with that, let's bring him in and let him tell us who he is and how he got started and what he's doing now.
Sure. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can. So, Jim, can you tell us a little bit about your history and how it was that you, throughout all the things that you've done, how you ended up meeting James Falls? But let's start with your history in the military and also as a helicopter pilot.
Okay, I grew up born in Florida, in Bradenton, and moved to Central Virginia with my parents as a kid. Went through public schools here, and
Hold on.
was able.
Hold on a second. I'm not sure what happened here. Okay.
I was skinny and fast when I was in high school, and I was nationally ranked in the high hurdles, and got us.
Yeah, there was no carpet in that house. It was all linoleum floors, and there was only like a fold-out table with all of his papers on it that's off screen up near him, and then the computer itself. This whole room was so barren. He had this little display in the back with like some Egyptian shit on it. Nothing with his sons anywhere in the house for public display. Nowhere. Not a single photograph of any of his children.
Scholarship to the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. 4 years there got me a commission in the Marine Corps, and I went to Pensacola through flight school, and then ended up on the East Coast near Camp Lejeune at the Marine Corps Air Station at New River. I was on active duty about 12 years, and Clinton had got elected, and the whole thing about the just a lot of the changes that were going to happen in the military at that time. I had gotten divorced after about 7 years in the military, and I was looking for an opportunity to just get out and get away from it and have a real normal life. I was gone from home many years, Christmas, birthdays.
So I guess I was leaving on April 20th, and this was the night before. Oh, and you look at my name is up on his thing. You see that? My name is up on his video screen. I didn't even realize that till now.
All that stuff. So I got out of the Marines, and I went through a couple different jobs, but I landed at the Virginia State Police, and I was a trooper for 8 years with the Virginia State Police. During that time frame, I saw James Files. There was a video. Believe it, this is hard to believe because Pam met James exactly the same way. There's a video that you could rent at Blockbuster. It was called Confession of an Assassin. And I just saw it one day, and something attracted me to it. I was working night shift, and I watched this video, and it was James Files confessing to the JFK assassination. And the thing is, as I watched it, I was looking for every kind of sign I could that this guy was lying. And I'd never heard of him before, and I'm not a JFK assassination freak. I haven't read 2,000 books about it or anything like that. But I saw this video, and the one thing he mentioned, I sort of remembered who Johnny Roselli was, and there were books that I'd read about the CIA, and the stories that Johnny Roselli was, the mafia had been hired to kill.
I took photographs of all of Tom's written notes that he had on little index cards. I got permission from him to do all of this. I still have everything photographed, including things he probably forgot about. So, not wise, Tom, to do what you did here.
Fidel Castro. And the agency...
Andreas says, not to mention he didn't bother changing the handle. It's still your name. You'll think he would change it, too. He is lazy much. Yeah. Yeah, he didn't even bother changing. He pretends he's so technically illiterate, but he came up with the idea of Windows? Give me a fucking break.
The Chicago outfit, $100,000 to Fidel Castro. Now, keep in mind, they had law.
So we're going to skip through some of this. I think eventually Oh, no, I'm still there for a majority of the whole thing. You see that?
Okay, so then his mother ended...
I'm in the background for most of the stream. And his cat shows up. Then I think I went and went to the guest room.
And you know, the CIA.
All right, there. Tom dipped out there.
Because they didn't have any way to see in the dark, they would start throwing grenades and shooting stuff like that, and then bug out. And then you'd have each other; they'd be shooting at each other. You know, I mean, that's the kind of bravery these guys had. Frank was a DEA agent. 2 quick stories in Miami. And he had a truckload of cocaine come in a warehouse one time, and they were going to arrest the guy. And he got up on the running board of the truck. They got it in the warehouse and closed the door so he couldn't get out. And he got up and pointed his pistol at the guy and said, "You're under arrest." You know, Special Agent Frank White, DEA. And the guy floored the van and started driving through the warehouse. And Frank shot him 13 times, just bang, 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 bang. You know, and then the van crashed.
And see, he waved.
They went to court, and
so Tom is going to say Tom is leaving now. He just gave the hand signal that he's getting out of there because of the being shot 13 times thing. That's the thing that he says triggered him to leave the show.
And start driving through the warehouse, and Frank shot him 13 times, just bang, 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 bang. You know, and then the van crashed.
It's like, nope, I'm out of here.
They went to court. And the prosecuting attorney was
and
Janet
he left.
Reno.
Do you see that?
And she filed a big complaint.
Wow.
Yeah, she filed a big complaint with the DEA and said, "Why did you shoot him so many times? Couldn't you have arrested him or something like that?" And he said, "He's driving inside a warehouse with a van load of cocaine, and he was threatening my life." And he said, "The reason I shot him 13 times is because my pistol only carried 13, not 14.
Yeah, Janet Reno actually was the
and that's what set Tom off, right? So then let's see how long it takes for me to come on here. That was 53. So about 10 minutes, Tom's talking with me off of the show, saying how, like, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't be on there any longer. This guy is evil. He talked about this guy shooting someone 13 times. I need you to go on the show, Steve. I'm like, what? You already left. Why do you want me to go on for you?
Called the Central Hemisphere, which to them is Central America. So, was action pistol.
So here's me coming on the show.
Very accurate, and it was going to be small enough to put in a briefcase. Okay. So,
and you see, I'm sitting in the same chair.
The bottom line is,
I'm in the same place as Tom. So, like, anybody trying to say I never went and visited Tom, like, this is proof right here. I went. Okay.
Jimmy was, he was told way months in advance that they were going to kill Kennedy. And the first place they were going to kill him was at the, there was a big road intersection. I forget what there's a nickname for it, but it was in Chicago.
And here I'm just, like, look at me. I'm sitting here thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, why am I in this situation? Why am I here? I'm like, what am I doing here? You know?
And Tony Accardo, the head of the Chicago Mafia, said, "No, we're not killing him in our backyard. That would bring too much. We don't want all that bad stuff in our backyard."
And Tom's there. He's walking around.
So they talked about New Orleans. They talked about Miami.
Tom's walking around in the background here. He probably went upstairs to watch Netflix after this.
Miami. And then after they got Lyndon Johnson involved, the answer, and, you know, they figured out that General Campbell's brother, Earl, was the mayor of Dallas. And Lyndon Johnson said, "Well, let's get him down to Dallas, and he can, we'll do it there." So they planned, the
same headphones too, by the way.
The route was initially planned, to go straight down Main Street, but right kind of at the last minute, unbeknownst to, because it would be believable if the route was changed right at the last minute, sort of, that nobody could be prepared to do it. But they had the ambush all set up, so it was like a triangulation of fire near the Umbrella Man, right? So, but James knew about it months in advance, I'm
going to skip through a bit of this.
As early as get that, he was
Because you see, I don't talk at all here.
James said, the one thing is, I hope he did that he make a movie about people.
Here's a well, they made.
And I left. I think.
They could see people. They used to play high stakes cop, and can use the con. It would press.
I will
Would have hurt. Right?
Goodbye for now from Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.
So I think what I did here was I messaged Brenda and said, I'm going to just join in backstage after the show's over, because I wasn't talking at all. I wasn't giving a chance to talk, and I'm just kind of sitting there observing everything. So I just decided to exit the show, and then we ended up talking afterward, because we had, I think, connected on Facebook during this time that I was there. But look at him. We'll zoom in. Alright, that's good enough, right?
Agent Frank White, DEA, and the guy floored the van and started driving through the warehouse, and Frank shot him 13 times, just bang, 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 and then the van crashed. They went to court, and the prosecuting attorney was Janet.
He left.
Actually, in Laos and Cambodia, one of the things they did is they called it moonwalking, and they'd go on missions at night, and they would get on the Ho Chi Minh Trail wearing black pajamas and one of those like Vietnamese hats. And they would just walk up the Ho Chi Minh Trail and just walk right into the Vietnamese camps and start an intramural firefight between the people in the dark, because they didn't have any way to see in the dark. They would start throwing grenades and shooting stuff like that and then bug out. And then you'd have each other, they'd be shooting at each other. I mean, that's the kind of bravery these guys had. Frank was a DEA agent. Two quick stories.
Tom's not agreeing with any of this. He's thinking like, no, not bravery. No. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so horrible.
In Miami, and he had a truckload of cocaine come in a warehouse one time, and they were going to arrest the guy. And he got up on the running board of the truck. They got it in the warehouse and closed the door so he couldn't get out. And he got up and pointed his pistol at the guy and said, "You're under arrest. Special Agent Frank White, DEA." And the guy floored the van and started driving through the warehouse. And Frank shot him 13 times, just bang, 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 and then the van crashed. They went to court, and the prosecuting attorney that Wayne. So.
And I'm back on like, what the fuck?
But James knew about it way.
So Beyond the Box it says Penny was texting. So, you know what? I guess I was texting Penny. Let's see if I still have those texts. Let's see. That must have been the way we were communicating, was that. All right. April 19th. All right, you ready for this? Penny L.A. Shepherd. Friday, April 19th, the night of the show. There's the Streamlabs link. Tom is coming. Yep. Then 9:57, Tom left the stream. Penny texted me, hey, want to fill in for Tom? He looks tired. Then Tom had already talked with me. I say, if this guy's a Fed, not good. I have to leave shortly. I have digitizing to do. Oh, now it's not wanting to show it. Look at that. Look at that crap. I have to leave shortly. I have digitizing to do before I leave in the morning. Okay, thank you for joining. I'm trying to get this to focus in. There we go. Please let Tom know, sorry, but this guy is a Marine, so the opposite of us. The CIA and mob killed Kennedy. That's his actual message. I said, my pleasure. Yeah, murder is a sensitive topic for Tom. Him hearing Jim talk about that wasn't good for him. And then Penny loved that. And then she said, sorry again. I interview lots of people on a myriad of subjects. I said, it's no problem for me, but it's good to know so Tom doesn't get rattled. You see that? And then she says, yes, JFK is about the assassination of a president last week. We had Pamela Files on. Then I said, Tom said this guy was talking about people he's personally killed and how it was good. What a lie, huh? Because that's not what this guy was saying that we just watched, huh? And James Files' wife, who fired the shot from the grassy knoll again, he is a Marine, and I cannot apologize for another person. I said, I'm only sharing so there is an understanding between the three of us. Tom said this guy was talking about people he's personally killed and how it was good. Did that sound like what this guy was saying? Penny says, yes, he told me. I did apologize. Again, he's recalling his life and he is not for the CIA. He did say there are some good people in CIA. I said, all is well, otherwise Tom emphasized there's no beef on you about it. And then she says, I love you both and do not wish any harm or heartache. Yeah, that's a lying piece of shit. And then that was the location where Penny was living. Sorry about showing that. Because then the next day, or in the next 2 days, on the 21st, the evening of the 21st, I asked Penny if I could show up where she was living, which was on Susie's Ranch. She said, drive slow when you get through the gate, dogs and horses and cows. And then I left on the 22nd at around 11 a.m. I waited for Penny to get done with her show. And then Susie was still sleeping, so I didn't get to say goodbye to her. I wish I did. And then I drove all the way through from Texas to Chicago and got home at 4 a.m. So one more time. Did this guy say that he personally, because this is what Tom claimed, and we're all about calling Tom's bullshit lies out. Does this Jim Scott guy say that he's the one that fired the bullets and that it was a good thing? I don't think so. So that's another Tom lie.
One of those like Vietnamese hats. And they would just walk up the Ho Chi Minh Trail and just walk right into the Vietnamese camps and start an intramural firefight between the people in the dark because they didn't have any way to see in the dark. They would start throwing grenades and shooting stuff like that and then bug out. And then you'd have each other, they'd be shooting at each other. You know, I mean, that's the kind of bravery these guys had. Frank was a DEA agent, 2 quick stories, in Miami. And he had a truckload of cocaine come in a warehouse one time.
So it wasn't even him he was Tom framed this as this guy was talking about he fired the 13 shots. That's not what Jim is saying here.
These guys had. Frank was a DEA agent, 2 quick stories, in Miami. And he had a truckload of cocaine come in a warehouse one time, and they were going to arrest the guy. And he got up on the running board of the truck. They got it in the warehouse and closed the door so he couldn't get out. And he got up and pointed his pistol at the guy and said, "You're under arrest." You know, Special Agent Frank White, DEA. And the guy floored the van and started driving through the warehouse. And Frank shot him 13 times. Just
Frank.
bang, 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 you know, and
Frank.
then the van crashed.
Not Jim.
He went to court, and the prosecuting attorney.
So you see how Tom goes and does that shit? How he twists the truth? Again, here is my text with Penny, April 19th, that night of the show. Tom said this guy was talking about killing people he's personally killed and how it was good. You lying son of a bitch. Tom Althouse is a liar. There's a reason why I called this show Tom Althouse is a liar. Let's talk about it. It's because he's a liar. Ain't that something? So it's just like when, we'll show this other thing Tom lied about. Second deposition of Tom Althouse by Soho. We'll listen to it again, because Tom's a lying piece of shit.
Because it wasn't brought up yet. I don't know. Malady. There are changes that come to the draft, correct? There can be changes made, but like I said, draft 1 would include the battle sequences that weren't that perfect. It's draft 1. That's why I'm very excited about when the battle sequences are perfected. It'll be shown through timestamp, and I think it's unnecessary to go to the court to waste the court's time on this when I gave a full 7 hours, and now plus 7 hours. So the timestamps will show everything that was actually constructive and to the point. And it's really, I think it's against the law to go over 7 hours or push someone or force one.
He left the deposition. They didn't end it like he was saying on Penny's show on Monday. They asked him to stay.
Or compel or threaten that actions will be taken for someone to go over 7 hours. So I just put that to you that it would be a waste of the court's time. But if you wish,
Sir,
I will show
okay,
the state. I'm willing to work with you on timestamps, but that's we are going to court. We've met and conferred. Thank you.
The questioning attorney in the deposition said, "We are going to court." Because all they had to do was present that Tom walked out of his deposition, and that's how they threw out the case. It's not hard to understand, Tom. You're just so caught up in your lies, you can't tell which lies are which anymore.
Meet and confer. Meet and confer is going over timestamp.
Hold on. We're off the record.
No, we're not.
Then he said, the questioning attorney says we're off the record. And then Tom's like, no, we're not. No, we're not. Yeah, you are, because you fucking ended the questioning.
I want to say this too. A meet and confer would be go over timestamps and show in good faith and tell the judge asked us to work things out. Would be to go over and show the timestamps and show where the 7 hours actually were expended now plus 7 hours. And I thank you for your time. And thank you for the deposition.
And he's saying here about 7 hours was exceeded by another 7 hours. So he is saying he did a 14 hours of deposition. He just keeps making shit up all the fucking time.
Well, this is number 3, volume number 2. The original video will be retained by DTI at 207 Boulevard to 205 Woodland Hills, California. Going off the record this time is 11:15. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Wait, where are those exhibits? I need exhibits. Those are all.
Do I have any? Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Just going. I'm saying that the 7 hours.
Draft 1 means the very first draft that you prepare.
I went
right?
back a little bit here.
I don't know how to explain it. It was a full script done. That's why it's called draft 1. If it's a full script, it's draft 1.
And he claims it was on a phone call that was pitched. It was never given to anyone physically. He pitched this idea over the phone, and he's saying that is what's been stolen and passed around for 30 fucking years. All right?
Okay. So you're
Because
saying
you did
that
the draft. You did the draft of the first script.
Okay, but there are changes that come to the draft, correct?
There can be changes made, but like I said, draft 1 would include the battle sequences that weren't that perfect. It's draft 1. That's why I'm very excited about when the battle sequences are perfected and that goes in. That's exciting to me.
Okay, let's not jump to what was submitted later, okay? Because we'll get to that. So as we sit here today, sir,
I'll let you finish this one question then.
do you want to take a lunch break?
No, we're at time.
What do you mean at time?
2 hour.
No.
So yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Listen, what I computed was I did everything where time locked it. So
Are you going to take an issue with this because we are not the judge? We were barely able to finish about 3 hours last time.
No, that's a wrong assessment. We can do it. I can bring back I can do the timestamps and show you. But we are at time, and we're not to exceed 7 hours at all.
I'm sorry. We did about 3 hours last time.
No, I waited where it's actually.
So there you have it. First deposition was 3 hours. This one went 2 hours, and Tom was trying to say they went 7 hours plus another 7 hours. When really he only did 5 hours. You lying sack of shit.
Been done. It's actually laid out, and it shows where it's been productive and everything else. The assessment was wrong on what it was, but I cannot go over 7 hours, and I am right now.
Okay, so let's be clear. Before you walk out, you're walking out of deposition.
No, I'm not walking out. I'm saying that the 7 hour period
is complete.
Included.
Okay. Well, we disagree with that.
We can disagree, but we'll look at the timestamps, and I'm happy to look at the timestamps.
So you're just going to leave right now? You're just going to walk out?
Well, I'm done testifying. 7 hours is done. You can't go over 7 hours.
Well, we're going to suspend this deposition because the witness is walking out.
I'm not walking out.
We are suspending the deposition because the witness is walking out. Cannot get any more clear than that. Hey, Ivy, good to see you. Andreas says maybe put screenshots of the texts on a short, Steven. Oh yeah, this show is gonna have shorts made out of it. Absolutely. And if I could screenshot those texts for clarity, I will. But they showed up pretty good on the screen here.
Hey, we're done. He's making a
Wait. That's it. You have to talk one at a time. No, you.
That's the transcriber. Because they're talking over each other, the transcriber can't transcribe everything they're saying. So she's telling them, wait.
Been folded. It's like in the middle of the document. There's no page numbers here, but.
Oh, you made a mark on it?
Yeah, it's not a mark.
I mean, a bend.
Let me help you, sir. Let me help you find that. Okay. And next to it is the number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
So battle sequences were in.
I'm gonna finish real quick, sir, of this area. What do you mean by draft 1? Is walking out.
I'm not walking out. He's saying we're done.
He's making a
Wait. That's it. You have to talk one at a time. No, you have to talk one. It has to have some kind of decorum in here.
Right.
Yes. Okay. I can't. Go on like that. It's just nuts.
We are suspending the deposition because plaintiff has taken the position that his 7 hours are done. We completely disagree with that, but we cannot force him to stay here. So right now we're going to go to court and seek the court's intervention And as of right now, we're suspending this deposition and we are off the record. Thank you.
I have to make a statement though. 7 hours.
Tom suspends his deposition and then says, no, we have to stay on the record because I have something more to say. What a piece of shit.
Has been completed.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
You're talking right
Okay,
in
I'm
that.
sorry.
Like, you're really,
but I have
just
to
put
make a
it
statement. Okay,
it's
very
fine.
good.
Hold, sir.
I'm good.
I just want to
No, I don't
not
know how
have
it
you
works.
screaming in
I
my
know,
ears.
I know.
Okay? I have to make a statement though. 7 hours is complete. Has
7
been
hours
completed.
was completed in good faith, and it will be shown through timestamp. And I think it's unnecessary to go to the court to waste the court's time on this when I gave a full 7 hours, and now plus 7 hours. So the timestamps will show everything that was actually constructive and to the point. And it's really, I think it's against the law to go over 7 hours or push someone or force one or compel or threaten that actions will be taken for someone to go over 7 hours. So I just put that to you that it would be a waste of the court's time. But if you wish,
Sir,
I will show
okay,
the
we're
state.
done.
I'm willing to work with you on timestamps, but that's
we are going to court. We met and conferred. Thank you. Confirm the meet and confer.
Well, meet and confer is going over timestamps.
Hold on.
We're off the record.
No, we're not. I want to say this too. A meet and confer would be go over timestamps and show in good faith and so that the judge asks us to work things out. Would be to go over and show the timestamps and show where the 7 hours actually were expended now plus 7 hours. And I thank you for your time. And thank you for your dedication.
Well, this concludes volume number 3. Volume number 2. The original video will be retained by DPI at 207-50.
And this is the part that he all cuts out from his story here. And then he leaves.
He went ballistic. When it became time, he's like...
He called somebody while he was in the elevator and forgetting that his recorder was still running. And he says they went ballistic on him.
Oh, we're going to suspend your deposition. We're taking you in. We're off the record. I'm like, we're not off the record. We can meet and confer. He's like, we're not. That's not meet and confer. I'm like, that's not the meet and confer. We can.
See how he twists all of this shit? I'm sick of it. Everyone's gonna see this. You are very poor at making your decisions throughout your entire fucking life, Tom. And you have the audacity to go on other people's shows and talk badly about them when you don't have your life in order?
Not waste the judge's time. We can come to an agreement. We can look at the timestamps together. But it's time. No, it's not. You suspend a deposition. So he threw a fit. He brought Michael in on me and everything.